We are back at the Culture Crusade. Welcome everyone who is joining us, and welcome to you, John. How are you, mate?
I'm crashing off the pre-workout that I took a few hours ago, but other than that, I think I'm fine. I'm a little jittery. I'm starting to see things in front of my eyes, but that's not all that different from my usual routine.
Understandable. Keeping fit though, man. Top. All right, we have a lot of topics to talk about this week. The primary theme of this live stream, which is going to be encapsulated by the main subjects that we're going to get to, but there are a whole heap of topics in addition to that, which are not really related to the theme of today's live stream, but the two main ones are, and it's about toxic girlfriends in media. We are going to be discussing Atom Eve and Invincible and the whole fallout of the final season. John has some very strong opinions on it, but we like to save the main topics until some more people have arrived. You know, we've just started. People are only showing up. The alerts are only going out now. So we'll get to Atom Eve, and I have some things I need to get off my chest about a certain anime that I'm trying to figure out why I watched it. I call it morbid curiosity. And I talked about it at the end of last live stream. I was like, what is this thing? What is this weird subset of anime? These anime romantic comedies. And this was a really popular one. So I had to know. And man, let's just say I got things to say, and it is very related to the subject of toxic girlfriends. The anime Rent-A-Girlfriend has a lot to comment and say about toxic girlfriends, and oh boy, do I have some. But that's the other main subject. So, John, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to just kind of maybe indulge me. Because I don't know.
I've got a few thoughts when it comes to anime and the way they portray relationships sometimes in anime. I'm not gonna lie, there are times Farron's a good example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Farron's a great example of it. They sometimes feel like male and female relationships written by an alien that's never actually been to Earth but is trying to write human relationships. It's so bizarre to me. Now, I know there's cultural differences between us Americans and the Australians and the Japanese. The Japanese culturally, I think, and I'm speaking very broad strokes here, a little more of a closed off emotionally people. They're not very, they don't broadcast their emotions out in public a whole lot. That's considered rude. So, you know, a lot of emotions in anime, that's where you tend to get those overreactions and those big emotional outbursts, things like that in a lot of anime, you know, just for silly parts. But when it comes to it almost feels like a lot of it's been written by someone that's never been with a woman before, or never been with a man, people who just don't know how to connect with each other. Where me growing up, and like even in middle school, if like there was even the hint that somebody had like the faintest attraction to you, it was like, hey, come on, let's go, you know.
So I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things about anime that I think you have a point. But on the other flip side, there are other things about anime which I appreciate. That like a lot of anime romance, not all, there's exceptions where they do LGBT stuff, but a lot of it is what Westerners would call heteronormative. But not only that, they are unashamed about depicting male attraction towards women, right? Unashamedly, and they will, they'll show the character where they see an attractive woman, where their eyes wander a lot, and anime will just dive into it, and they're actually a bit more honest about, just normal, especially young male attraction to women, and they actually dive into Rent-A-Girlfriend is a prime example of this, where in some ways it actually does end up promoting normal heteronormative relationships, even if it's done in a really roundabout, and I would say even toxic way. But at the end of the day, they're still essentially promoting, men find a good woman, kind of, and then they go in the extremes. But let's save that for when we get to it. But I saw this I saw this comment. It's like, I actually can't believe you've watched Rent a Girlfriend. And I'm like, yeah, I can't believe so either. And I can't believe I've watched all 4 seasons so far. And there's reasons why, okay? And a lot of it is research. And I know that's a meme. It's like, I'm doing it for research. But the other thing is, it actually does some very clever, manipulative things that I'm pissed off about. Because I am at a point where I kind of want to know how it ends, even though I'm pissed off with it. I don't like the show, but I'll explain why when we get to the main topic. But oh my goodness! So welcome everyone. Wow, we got some good super chats already. How about we quickly just
go ahead, man, go for it.
Grab those super chats because they're topical now. Before we dive into the topics, Nathan Cassidy, our legendary mod for 499, says, on the latest FNT, there's a comment about Shad being 35. No, I'm actually 40. Turning 41 this year. Close. You know, people are surprised that I didn't consider. I guess 40 is very, middle age. I never thought it was young, but people think I'm, older than I am.
I'm 44. How do you think I feel?
Yeah.
I am your elder.
4 years isn't that far apart. But it says, seems like folks don't realize Shad is playing Pragmata in real life on Preg Mormon, if you will. Yeah, 5 children. And so, you live the dream, people. It's attainable. It is attainable. Find a good woman, and then you get to do the, what do they call it? Dad simulator or something like that. You get to do that in real life.
Yeah, that's the joke that's been going around about it. A pretty standard third-person shooter from what I've seen. Not that bad, but man, that really stirred something in people, Pragmata, and I'm glad to see it.
Same, absolutely. Zodlander for 50 SEK says, hi lads, is there a rom-com anime that you guys can recommend? I liked Please Teacher, and have you seen House of the Dragon Season 3 trailer yet? It's a bit meh to me. I will see it. I'm not sure we'll cover it in this live stream. I'm not sure how many people are interested in House of the Dragon at the moment, my co-hosts, but I'm very interested in it. And so maybe I might do a dedicated video on it or not, but I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on it. Now, as to rom-com I can recommend, not many, because I don't watch anime rom-com. This is like my first exposure to it.
I have one. I mentioned it last week, I think. Love Before World Domination. It was a cute little 1-season anime rom-com about a team of pseudo, it was a Super Sentai team, and the red guy fell in love with the villainess, and they were trying to date behind everyone's back. And it was cute. It wasn't perfect, but I liked the dynamic that it put up. Mm-hmm. And I can recommend that one at least a little bit. At least the characters were honest with their feelings towards one another, and that was something I think is kind of refreshing in a lot of anime.
Yeah, yes. Rent a Girlfriend is my primary point of reference now, because people are not open enough with their feelings in that friggin' show, and it pisses me off. And then they're like, I'm gonna tell them how I feel, and that's the beginning of the season, and throughout the whole season it's a long process of being blue-balled where they don't get to the point. Anyway, I'm ready to rant on that friggin' show, man.
When we get there.
But in terms of, like, I guess the closest one rom-com that I've watched that you could call a rom-com is Ranma Half, or a Ranma 1/2. And that's hilarious. Ranma 1/2 is just a hilarious romantic comedy slashed with hijinks, martial arts, anime wackiness. And Ranma 1/2 is top tier. But thank you for the super chat. And then Riley Bolts for 50. Wow, big one. Thank you very much. Says, hey Shad, with your permission, I'd like to show my book. Do you all like pulp, tactical, paranormal action, cool guns, TNA, Eastern Blood Prince has it all? Dude, look, John out there with the click right there.
I try to stay on top of my indie releases.
Legend. That's like, man, I really appreciate that about you, John, because I don't have enough time to like even read the main releases. Like I haven't read nearly any, even Brandon Sanderson's recent releases. But you keep on top of it, so I love that you kind of give us a kind of a window into it. And even this one right here, Eastern Blood Prince, and he says
personalized. Actually, gave it to me when we met up in Texas a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
so that was very nice of him.
Nice.
But I already had it on Kindle. Yeah.
Oh, and so to finish off the super chat, he says, find it on AMZ. And Shad, if you'd to talk, I think like to talk knife work, socials are all Riley C. Bolt. Awesome, dude. That's great. And by the way, Lit Dev, how are you, sir?
Good, thank you very much. Doing pretty good.
Sorry, good evening.
New video out. It's doing pretty well.
Oh, very cool. Hang on. I saw you tweet about that was coming, and I was like, oh, I want to check that out. But now I've forgotten what it was. What was it?
It's about Wish. I was going over Wish.
Oh, that's
and
right.
not only do I go over it and break it down, I have a fix that I think would have been so much better for a 100th anniversary Disney celebration.
Oh, nice.
God, what a bad movie too.
Yeah.
Bad movie.
But everyone, check out Riley Bolt's indie book, Eastern Blood Prince. Check it out. John has a copy himself. Have you been able to read it, John?
Not yet. I'm in the middle of another book, and I don't read more than one book at one time.
Understandable.
So I'll try and get to it as soon as I can. I am notoriously bad when it comes to keeping on a lot of indie books. But I do want the desire is there, but the time is kind of slim, especially these days.
Yeah, understandable. But Lit Dev's videos are absolute top tier, so I can't wait to check it out.
Thank you very much.
So we got a lot of topics in Lit Dev. The main topics that we're going to get to a bit later while people are arriving. We're going to talk about Eve from Invincible and the whole abortion scandal around it.
I've been seeing that going around, yeah.
And I need to get it off my chest now, man. I need to rant about Rent a Girlfriend. I'm sorry. You're going to have to indulge me because I got a lot of things to say. And the theme of those two things is about toxic girlfriends in media. Because, yeah. But before we get to that, let's actually catch up on some of the, media topics that came around this week that caught people's attention. And this one was kind of hilarious. So, Anne Hathaway, she's making or being involved in The Devil Wears Prada 2. There is
making another one.
They're making another one.
How long ago was the first one? Like 40 years ago?
I know,
a while.
Right?
It's been a really long time.
Oh, bonkers. Now, apparently it did well at the box office. I was never interested in it. And I have memory of maybe trying to watch it with my wife or something like that, but I don't remember anything about the film. I don't think I stuck around too much. But okay, so this is clearly not for me. I'm not interested in it. But one of the comments...
It has fashion in the title. I'm instantly turned off.
Right, exactly. But Anne Hathaway was recently being interviewed about this, and she had a really odd thing to say about her approach to Devil Wears Prada 2. And so let's hear her. And gosh, man, I've seen some of this comment, right? And it just strikes me as such one of those pathetic virtue signals. But let's listen to this.
I had noticed that we had
Hang on. Let me get that volume up.
beautiful models on set, and a lot of them were maybe more traditionally model size. And I knew what the context of the scene was, and I thought the scene would be so much more enjoyable for the audience if we had.
Sorry. She's seen all these knockout hot, models around her, and she's like, what would make this more enjoyable
for fat people in the background? Is that where you're going?
This will make it more enjoyable for the audience if we change this up a bit, right?
Just a wider range of bodies on display because all different shapes are beautiful.
So it'll make it more enjoyable for the audience if we just get a wider range of body sizes.
And we got to narrow it down. We don't have to widen things up. Got to narrow things down, lose some weight. We got to get the best of the best.
This is not a virtue signal, Shad. This is not a virtue signal. This is the ugly girl strategy. This is her surrounding herself with fatties so that she looks better.
Yeah, I get some fat best friends in there.
It reeks of that strategy. It really does. Because, she's talking about models. And so she says conventionally attractive. And so basically what we can, garner and understand of, what she's saying here, that these are like knockouts, they're models, and they're all the standard kind of stereotypical model shape, which means they're all really thin. And to diversify the body shapes, there's only one direction to go now, is there? Because you can't make it thinner than what the models are usually. And so they all want to make it more fat. And it's like, I mean, there are layers to this. Maybe not too many, but there's a couple. Because, John, you already touched on one, and people have called her out. And this is like, what is really going on here? But then there's the other thing, which I think is just such an incorrect virtue signal. And it's it denies the truth that people prefer looking at and watching attractive people. It's not a difficult kind of, math to wrap your head around. This is why celebrities skew towards being very conventionally attractive and stuff. And if I'm watching a movie, right, and I have a choice to, watch someone do something awesome, or that might look like me. I don't need to watch people that look like me. I see enough of that in the mirror. But if I could see someone who looks great doing something awesome, that increases the enjoyment factor. Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I gotta go to the gym. Like every time I watch Dragon Ball Z, it's like, oh man, yeah, I've got to don't forget to work out.
Yes, this honestly plays into the almost rejection of traditional beauty that the woke, ideological movement just constantly promotes, because they hate hierarchies, they hate true beauty, and so they're also very envious, and a lot of the activists who are part of, the ideological, movement, stuff like that, they resent that people might not be attracted to them for who they are. And they won't put any effort in, by the way. In fact, they go the opposite way. They make themselves look more ugly by piercing themselves with metal all over their face, shaving their hair or making it weird colors. And have you seen those pictures of like before and after, people became
going to college?
And they look fine.
Like,
some look
before
really
college, normal person. After
Oh.
college, during college, this freak show, absolute freak show.
Like
Marxism, not even once.
it actually goes back to, it has fundamental like.
It kind of feels like it goes back to Daria, because like the whole, or at least that attitude, not the show just on its own, but just like the attitude of it, where her character is all about fighting conventional outlooks of what we society tends to like that whole show was built around that. Whereas Daria would say that, oh yeah, I'm not I mean, she was the Daria itself was a good show because it had her trying to battle these normal conventions of beauty. Meanwhile, her sister is all about that.
Yeah.
And then also every once in a while we get to see behind the mask, and like she actually does like it when people approve of her looks. It's just that she doesn't really want to put that much effort into it, and she doesn't have the looks that her sister does, so she kind of fights back against it. Like there's a whole episode where she loses her glasses and she gets contacts, and people start liking this new look of hers, and so she's torn between her identity of like this rebel girl who's fighting against the standard aesthetics and feeling liked, and she's torn between the two, and she has to the point where she goes to school without either and just bumps into everyone all day because like I don't want to wear my glasses anymore because I like how I look, but I don't want to take in the contacts because that's conforming to the norm and everything. So it's kind of that idea, except not nearly as intelligent.
Case in point.
There it is.
Then there it is. A perfectly conventionally attractive girl, and then after. What is she trying to make herself look possessed?
Like psycho, non-binary haircut.
And there are compilations. There are compilations of this where it seems like they just have this resent towards traditional beauty, and they go out of their way to make themselves look weird or ugly because how dare a man look at them with desire, and that's possessing women's bodies and all that nonsense. And so the male gaze is basically rape in the eyes, and so how dare you, and so I'm going to make myself look repulsive to you, and it doesn't do them any favors at all by any means. But so there is a pretty consistent rejection of beauty that actually has fundamental kind of philosophical ties to actual communism, rejection of hierarchies and standards, and so many other things like that.
But don't forget that this also comes from the mandate for movies as well. They have to put in their ethnic minorities, their oppressed species or whatever. They've got that list of what they have to put in their movies to qualify for anything. So they probably figure, well, we'll virtue signal and we will put them all in this particular scene all at the same time and just kind of knock it out of the way.
Yeah. And so I get those kind of vibes where she's like, oh, let's just have a more diverse kind of, body shapes, and people will like that more. And it's like, no, most people are normal. Okay. And most people they don't need to be conditioned to like conventional beauty standards. Conventional beauty standards actually are a natural result of normal biology. And I'm not talking about fashion. Fashion is very much a social construct, right? And you can see fashion very wildly. But conventional beauty standards, we're talking about facial symmetry, normal healthy body appearance, not being overweight and stuff like that, or having certain weight in certain areas. Let's just say on the body that both sides kind of find attractive. Like there are normal hallmarks basically that come from biology that are consistent across cultures that people have understood to be attractive. And it's those natural, normal kind of standards that it seems that they're trying to push against, and also reject the idea that people prefer watching attractive people. And I see this both men and women, like character creations in video games, right? There's the trend of making the most ugly character possible, but that's like a small. Most people actually usually make avatars of them being super ripped and better looking than what they are. And this is consistent with men and women, by the way. Women prefer to play attractive characters. And why do you think the model industry, which is like the modeling industry, which is consumed, models are hired by, the fashion industry predominantly, and the fashion industry is predominantly consumed by women. And why do you think most models who are employed by the fashion industry are thin, conventionally attractive women for the most part, when women are the ones mostly consuming it? Because women prefer to see the ideal as well. There are certain baked-in insecurities that women, can have concerns about, but I'm speaking about the general truth of things. If women did not prefer to look at attractive women, you would see it far more broadly in so many industries and fashion as well. And so they're trying to force people to like, no, you're a bigot for liking conventional beauty. We're going to force you now to like all shapes, right?
They're trying to force men to enjoy like what they want men to enjoy. And that's why they want to fight the male gaze. And they said, oh, you're just you're a misogynist if you like XYZ. And they call you all kinds of terrible things if you like normal looking women. It's like every single woman that's conventionally attractive, as a man, you like that look because you're a predator or a rapist or something.
And there's an additional thing to this, right? Men actually, even though you will see like their reflexive instinct is to always, prefer the most attractive woman and stuff like that. When men find a woman that they actually love on a personal level, their standards actually aren't super high in terms of body shape and things like that. Like if men can find a woman that's going to love them and look after them and reciprocate what the men want to give to them, most guys they will love that woman forever, regardless of how she changes through life and body shape and things like that. All right. It still doesn't undermine the truth of conventional beauty standards. Okay. Or the truth that both those men and women, right, even though we accept each other whose we are, understand that if there's an opportunity to appreciate the ideal, they often do that. My wife, when she plays like characters in video games and stuff like that, she also makes characters very attractive because that you like looking at characters who are attractive. And so this nonsense that Anne Hathaway is saying, the audience would like, that if we make all these other women fatter, is like, I don't think that's true, Anne.
I don't think so either. It's especially a problem here because, as far as I know about Devil Wears Prada, it's not a lot, but I do know that it takes place in the fashion industry. It's all about that high pressure world. So the whole thing of like, oh, we gotta have wider body types around here is this nonsense. Because isn't like a big element of the story a regular person facing down the shallow, empty
Yeah.
world of fashion.
Yep. That's what I remember of the first film. She was just a regular girl who had to like get into fashion. But the thing is, though, like it shows that regular women who have conventional beauty, like if they put in even a little bit amount of effort, right, to do makeup, to put on a nice dress and everything like that, can really like jump up and enhance their appearance quite a lot.
That was the entire plot of She's All That. Remember that? Back in the 90s, when all a girl had to do to look gorgeous is stop wearing glasses and let her hair down.
Oh, I think I do remember that.
First movie I ever took my wife to the movies for, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, guys, makeup, it's a lie. I've seen some compilations where you see like a very plain looking woman and sometimes for some reason they're usually Asian and they're walking to work and they're putting on makeup while they go to work, and it's like a complete transformation, the before and after. The after is like, who is this person? That's not what they look like in the beginning. And so makeup can do crazy things. But let's finish off what Anne Hathaway is saying. But it really comes off as insincere and untrue.
Because all different shapes are beautiful. And so I just went to the producers and I asked that question: don't you think the scene would be stronger if we had a more inclusive approach to size, and And they.
Yeah, it's like. It's not ringing true, and people have already been kind of calling her out on that, saying, translation. Arch, here's one of them.
What's a perfect microcosm of this is the romantasy genre. If you look at the romantasy genre, one thing you will notice is that the covers are what I like to call artisanal. They're very they got like overly complex designs. They look pretty. They have a nice kind of artisanal design because it's more of a shelf trophy. A lot of these books, when you dig down into them, like the content is usually just slop, romance slop. Because in a romance book, the romance is the actual plot, the world building, the characters and even the consistencies of the actual plot itself can, that can all be terrible. And they don't care because they're there for the relationship. And the cover gives them something pretty to look at. And it's something that looks nice on the shelf, regardless of what's actually on the inside of the book. It's a interesting little microcosm that kind of ties into this, I think.
Well, Arch had this essay. He says, translation, I'm in my 40s, and even all the makeup in the world can only slow the wall for so long. So I want to be surrounded by fat people.
Yeah, interestingly enough, like when she was young and everything didn't really matter apparently. But now that it's been 20 years, by the way, 20 years since the first movie came out, suddenly I want to be surrounded by fat people.
Who was that? Who was that actress that was talking? Not Meryl Streep.
No. This reminds me of the comments from the actress who played Black Widow. What's her name? Scarlett Johansson. Where she was very happy to objectify herself to get roles and everything like that. And but now that she, achieved career success doing that, she's like, oh, it was so abusive. It shouldn't be done and everything like that. And kind of like,
now that she's probably not getting so many calls, as many calls for that anymore. How about you don't, how about you can keep your clothes on, Scarlett Johansson. There's probably been like some jobs where she tries and like the people are like, nah, you can keep your clothes on.
There are accounts of her actually encouraging the director to let her take her clothes off in certain scenes.
Yeah, she wanted that.
She wanted that, and the director's like, no, wait, that's going too far, right? And so she tried to objectify herself, and then she's like criticizing other women and things. It's like it comes off as insincere, is what I'm saying with that point. And that's the same with Anne Hathaway, and it's like, it's like we've gone over it in this segment. It speaks to layers of commentary, let's just say, on that subject.
Anne looks pretty decent, I would say, for
still looks
getting
decent,
at the age for hit the wall. But I did look it up. She did have a nose job, and at some point, those chickens are going to come home to roost. Because, ladies, you age, your plastic does not.
There is a comment in the chat that I just want to, this isn't to like flame him, but this speaks to a pet peeve of mine where nothing against our wonderful people chat, but says, how about we get some women on the What Women Think is Beautiful panel? Now, I get annoyed by comments like this because it's kind of implying that men cannot speak in any informed way on women's issues at all, and a woman would always be more informed. It's like, two of us are married and we listen to our wives and we can speak on their opinion that they've shared with us. And just because it's coming through us doesn't invalidate the opinion of a woman who shared it with us, right? And I shared an experience of my wife just already in this video.
And I promise you want my opinion, not my wife's opinion, because my wife is way more unfiltered and vitriolic than I am.
Sometimes the
no love
women
for other women,
especially married women. Married women can be far more extreme than men in certain right-leaning kind of perspectives.
But, on the other side, all these women don't really hold back when they comment on men and men's issues. Men's issues are not really issues. How it's all fake and how men are evil or something like that. They never
shut up about our issues.
Yeah, but men can't talk about women's issues or women at all. But
we had it recently. Mary Morgan's comment last week about how any man who does not have a child that is into this game or wants to have children is like predatory. We covered in the last week about that there's some predatory instinct for wanting to possess children if they don't have children themselves. And it's like, not only was that completely wrong, and we went into detail on that, but that's a woman making wildly incorrect, interpretations and decrees about men's views and perspective, but no one seems to call out like how dare you speak for men kind of thing.
Especially not Tim Pool, who agreed with her.
Oh well, that was that right. but here's the thing: men and women can speak about the opposite gender's views as much as they want. One, they're entitled to that free speech, but especially if they're informed on it and they've listened to the other view. And here's the thing, right? I am vastly more informed to speak about the female experience and difficulties of pregnancy than a woman who has never been pregnant. Why? Because I've gone through 5 with my wife, seen firsthand the direct difficulties, experiences, and what she needed through all those pregnancies to make me vastly more informed than any given woman who has never been pregnant and has the experience I have. But oftentimes, how dare men speak about pregnancy when that's a woman's issue, and you should have a woman come and speak on it. It's like, no, it's about information and what you're informed on, okay? I would much rather an informed woman speak about men's issues than a man who has no friggin' idea what he's saying. And so it goes both ways. Sorry, that comment just kind of triggered me a bit. And I feel like achieving gender quotas for the sake of achieving gender quotas is inherently sexist. Instead, let's focus on the task that we want to achieve and hire and look at the best people, most qualified people, most informed people to speak on the subject. Anyway, that I needed to just quickly talk about that. Unless there was anything additional you guys wanted to say on that subject before we move on. Alrighty then. So, when do you think we should hit the big subjects? Let's do a couple of small ones, and then we'll go to the main topics. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Did any of you guys watch the Obi-Wan Kenobi show?
Was there a need to? The only news from that show is that they paired him up with some Mary Sue Leia, and I was like, okay, well, that's enough. That's all you know.
Really split time between him and a diversity hire, Dark Lord Zero Calorie.
Riva. It was Riva, the main character. Whatever. That was funny because I remember all I knew about the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was that it was Riva. Basically, everyone just kept talking about Riva. They tried to fund her lightsaber or something like that, and no one bought it because who's this lady?
Yeah,
I'm watching Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I had the unfortunate pleasure or displeasure of watching Obi-Wan Kenobi season 1, and it was atrociously bad, horribly bad. you watch it and lose brain cells bad. The writing is so stupid. Like literally, Obi-Wan Kenobi can't even figure out how to walk past a fence that is open on either side, right? He tries to smuggle little Princess Leia out of a thing under a trench coat with this huge bulge and no one notices, right? Trained, mercenaries can't chase down a little girl and they're running into tree branches and stuff like that. And then the whole Reaver, like it was an atrocious show. And what they did to Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, it is so bad. And I believe I even covered a chunk of it on Night's Watch in reviews, right?
I mean, and that's all on top of the fact that there was never, for any lore reason, to have Obi-Wan and Vader meet again after the end, between Revenge of the Sith and Star Wars A New Hope. There was absolutely no reason for it whatsoever, other than they wanted the dopamine hit of, let's bring back Anakin, let's bring back his actor, I forgot his name off the top of my head, and let's get all the prequel memory dopamine hits that we can. But because we're at that point, they were starting to hear the bottom of the barrel when they were scraping down in that Star Wars bucket and go, wait a minute, the bottom's this close? Oh no.
That's all they have to fuel current year Star Wars is nostalgia bait. Like, oh, look, remember Hayden Christensen, guys? You remember
Hayden Christensen? Thank you.
You wanted to see Ashoka meet Darth Vader. Here you go. Like all this stuff, man, it's just awful. It's awful. They can't really write good stories, so they have to depend on nostalgia. All it takes is running a good story. And I went over this in Wish, and I went over this in a lot of Disney movies, and especially Star Wars, is that it doesn't really take a lot to fix these things. All they have to do is just practice the fundamentals of storytelling. Just go back to the drawing board and just use the basic formula of storytelling. Just do it. But they refuse. I don't know why they refuse, but they just refuse to go back to the basics. Just the very basics.
And more than that, they tried to turn Star Wars into something that it's not. Star Wars fundamentally was always not just a space opera, but an adventure series for boys. You can throw all the female characters in there that you want and just basically make a female-skinned male character. It's never going to work because when it comes to adventure stories, you're oversaturating it with something boys don't really care to play adventure stuff with girls. I'm sorry. The Force is female. No, it's not. It never was. And that's why it's no longer working.
See, just with what you're saying there, John, and then to also attach it to what Linda was saying, like, why can't they just, use basic storytelling principles? And I think it's because they inherently resent like fundamental truths that good storytelling needs to be founded on to be successful. Heroism is essentially a masculine ideal and is more, exemplified in the principles of the masculine ideal of sacrifice, protecting the weak and innocent, and the damsel in distress trope. Like, these are fundamental things, and they resent these concepts to their core. They resented that Star Wars is a male brand. It was a male brand, so they tried to make it a female brand, but girls aren't into that. They never were. There's a subset of girls, small minority, and they're awesome, that love it, and they loved it the way it was. They didn't
like it the way it was, yeah.
Exactly. And then they change it and feminize a fundamentally masculine, franchise and bastardize it and destroy it and destroy fundamental principles of heroism where you start weak and you need to earn the strength to become strong. No, Rey, she's perfect from the very beginning and she can do everything and everyone finds her boring as a result. And then not only that, she has to show up Luke Skywalker who needs to teach her, but no, she's so great at everything. And then they have so much that because it's femme-coded, they want to ship the villain and her and force a love thing and all this.
It's something to Galadriel. They had Galadriel do the same thing where she's going to fall in love with Sauron. But there's an example, a real life example to the other side of this. I didn't watch it, but a friend of mine was tapped into the community and he explained this to me with the brony community. And there's a bunch of bros came in there and they loved Friendship is Magic. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Famously, a bunch of bronies came in and they liked the show. And then the showrunners noticed this, and apparently they started shifting things over to becoming more towards male interests. So apparently this is where they got John Delancey. they got to play a Q-like character in the show and everything. I learned about that too. But apparently they started doing more male-centric topics, and the bronies revolted. They did not want this because they liked the show the way it was. So even when it's reversed and it's a bunch of guys going into a girls show, they liked it the way it was. They don't want it to change.
Yes.
All right. They don't want to change significantly. They want it the way it was.
Mm-hmm. And so Star Wars has just been on a self-destruction arc these last 10 years or more, doing exactly that. Trying to restructure it, force it to a female audience, and just alienating the core fan base, and then the girls that liked it the way it was. And we see all of that in Kenobi. A perfect example where it's all about Princess Leia, and she's all wonderful. And then it's all about Reva, the strong female character. And then there are other female characters that knocks out like a stormtrooper, just slapping him in the head. And it's just, it is cringe on so many levels. Obi-Wan Kenobi gets completely just, cut and is weak as hell. And then the end of season 1, I kid you not, right? This is one of the most egregious things they did with Kenobi season 1, right? He defeats Darth Vader and has the opportunity to kill him, and he lets him live. And so every single genocide, remember, Darth Vader is complicit in genocide, destroying worlds, right? All of that is now on Kenobi's head. It's your fault, mate. You freaking idiot. You could have just stopped, destruction right then and there. But you let him live.
Everyone. This is twice. Twice you let him live. First time it was understandable. You thought he was dead. First time, granted, he thought Anakin was dead. I mean, who wouldn't? But he spares him again. Why? Look, save your friend by killing him. All right, he's no longer your friend. You're gonna pardon him from a bunch of suffering by just ending it. All right, just get him out of there.
I couldn't believe how bad it was, man. And how it ended is just, he spares Reva. Reva goes on this unjustified redemption. I can't believe it. But guess what? That's the preamble, even though that's really the main kind of.
The only reason he spares Darth Vader really is because they had to keep continuity.
Well, that's it. That's why this show was so dumb from the beginning. But they needed to force it because they need money, and they will go to any well that they haven't drained yet, to mine it for content. And they ruin each character, every single one that they go through. They've ruined Ahsoka, they've ruined Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're ruining the prequels, they've ruined Boba Fett, and just one after, they've ruined Luke Skywalker. Just one after another, they're growing and ruining all the characters. But guess what, gentlemen? Guess what? Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2 is reportedly moving forward at Lucasfilm. It's like, it was such a disaster. We're gonna make season 2. It's like, oh my gosh.
How much does Ewan McGregor need work?
Well, there's that. Oh my gosh.
He must have a pretty bad alimony he has to pay to his wife that he cheated on when he was filming the first season. No, wait, or was that during Harley Quinn?
I can't remember when, but I've heard the same.
Oh, man. I forgot he was in that movie, but yeah, I just watched the movie too. For the first I watched it now for the first time.
My condolences.
It's awful. It's one of the worst movies I have ever seen. It's like it's everything you hate about wokeness, boom, in that movie. It's all like bundled up into one tight ball.
Remember when, because that movie came out the year that we were deep within the Comic-Con era, so there was hardly any theaters open. And remember the stands of that movie tried so hard to say it was not a failure. They're like, it was the highest grossing comic book movie of that year. It's like it got its ass whooped by Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm sorry. It was the highest grossing because there was nothing else going on, because it was in the middle of the COVID era. I don't know if it's still sensitive on YouTube or not, but we were in the middle of the China cough era.
Yeah.
A movie couldn't have been even like basically good. Like, okay, it's not for me. It's cringe. It's feminist. It's woke or whatever. But it could even do the basics right. It's supposed to be called Birds of Prey, but but Harley Quinn, Huntress, and Siren, I think, or Black Canary, they all get together for the first time at the end of the film just in time to fight all the bad guys. So while it feels like they should be a team the whole time, going through some quirky nonsense or whatever and bonding as a team, so finally at the end they all unite perfectly to fight the bad guys, that doesn't happen. They're all having their own. So it almost feels like there's two movies Frankenstein together. That they were making like a Birds of Prey movie, and they Frankensteined in a Harley Quinn movie on with another one.
And then nobody was in there. Nobody was in a comic accurate costume. My favorite thing about that movie was that they had to bring in a male director to redirect the stunt scenes because the female directors don't know how to do the fight scenes.
Oh my god!
The fight scenes were just terrible, especially when they had Rosie Perez come in as the detective, and she's not just a detective. Like, okay, I could buy that. She's playing what's her name?
Montoya.
She's playing Montoya, who is of course lesbian, and because she's a tough cop, and every girl who's tough, even a little bit, has to be lesbian. But she comes in, she's like 50 years old, and it can't just be that she's this grizzled old detective, just doing her rounds and trying to survive until retirement. No, she becomes part of the Birds of Prey and starts beating up dudes alongside her. Tiny little old Rosie Perez is beating up these strong athletic men. And she wasn't very agile either. Like they had to do a lot of work to make her seem badass because she seemed very slow, very just it didn't seem believable when she fought. Surprise.
Exactly. Hollywood seems so incapable of making anything good. There's exceptions, don't get me wrong. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, great and stuff. But when they are so adherent to this ideological, and then the check boxes, got to have the girl bosses, can never have a man save a woman, and that is like such a desperate, thing. That's like their mantra. Men will never save women, and they will break reality in their stories to avoid that, and it just ends up cucking the male characters, undermining traditional heroism, and they can't make good stories. And we've been talking about the flaws that result in this, like Birds of Prey example. Obi-Wan Kenobi is an example of this, and I cannot see them possibly making season 2 Obi-Wan Kenobi any good at all when it's founded on the absolute dog crap of Obi-Wan Kenobi season 1. I can't see anyone slogging through that atrocious season and thinking, oh, I can't wait to see more of this,
I mean, they might as well. I mean, relatively speaking, isn't this like their best shot at making some money? Because people still like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I don't know. He's dead to me. Like that show ruined Kenobi for me. Like I have to pretend it's not canon to still enjoy Star Wars. And so I could never have any hope or interest in season 2. And guess what? If season 2 is actually good, I cannot watch it because it's validating season 1. So I hate season 1.
What's our predictions? What could they possibly do with season 2? Because my theory is that there's only one other thing that they can possibly do. They'll have him hook up with Yoda at some point. They'll bring Yoda back in there. They'll probably throw in more Boba Fett. And bring Jango Fett's dead.
Yeah,
they're going to have to bring in so many prequel faces.
Yeah,
Maul. They're going to have a rematch with Maul, I bet.
You're probably right. Like it's going to be cheap. It's going to be cheap and hollow. And I do not have any confidence that Disney is able to make anything good out of Star Wars with what we've seen. We've got Mandalorian Grogu coming out, and that looks like an absolute piece of crap. We'll see how good it is when it comes out. That's one I intend to review. But even them, like it feels like desperation that they're like, because it was such a failure. But all right, reportedly, maybe, and again, this seems like it's not confirmed. It's just rumor at the moment that season 2 is coming. But if it is, holy crap! What
it kind of feels like they leak these rumors to gauge audiences' reaction.
Yeah,
should we make it? Should we not? But it's just hard to believe that the same people made Andor, which they wanted to make dark and gritty, and they put a rape scene in there and everything. But they kind of are going really like kid friendly with the Mandalorian for some reason.
Yeah.
Way more than you thought they would go. And you think they would kind of got some of that.
Sorry.
What do you say?
Didn't they go kid friendly with that one kid show and then just everyone ignored it? Nobody even bothered to review it or talk about it?
It was that Goonies one, right? It's kind of like what was it called? I forgot what it was called. I know what we're talking about. It was like some 3D show. But what was it?
No, it was live action. It was just made for kids.
I forgot. I know the show. I just forgot everything about it. I just know people said, "Oh, it's like the Goonies," which sounds cool, and people did like it. It's just that no one cared.
But we're about. Sorry, go.
I would say, but the Mandalorian should have. They should have got some of that mojo from Andor and moved it over to the Mandalorian, because I think that would have been the best thing they could have done, because it's all about like
styles. Andor was well made, but I still didn't enjoy it for a lot of reasons, and we've talked about it on Night's Watch. But it was still vastly better. It was I consider it the least worst thing Disney Star Wars has made. And yeah, if they could get some of the good stuff that they worked in with Andor into Mandalorian and Grogu, there's some hope there, right? So yeah, you have a point with that.
I think it would have been so cool. Like, people were kind of comparing Mandalorian to Lone for Cub, and while it's not the same dynamic really, because Lone for Cub it's the father and son. And he's not actually protecting his son. He uses his son as a tool, because he's like, as far as he knows, like, we're in this together. It's like it could have been something similar, where he's just killing a bunch of guys trying to kill Grogu. Heck, what it should have been was he just should have had Grogu along with him and take him along with him on bounties. That would have been pretty cool.
Dude, sorry, this chat just called me. I forgot about Skeleton Crew.
That was called Skeleton Crew.
It wasn't awful. Skeleton Crew was not awful.
I heard it was pretty good, actually.
Like I've watched Skeleton Crew, and I was saying Disney Star Wars hasn't made anything good, but that's because I literally like there's something missing in it, because I was so forgettable that it's like this weird separate thing that some of it doesn't even feel like Star Wars, honestly, but it actually wasn't the worst thing ever. Skeleton Crew.
It's because Star Wars now is so mixed match. It's like, okay, here's the original trilogy, and then the prequel trilogy, which kind of seems very similar, because they're all done by George Lucas and his team, and then we spread out to Disney Star Wars, and like the sequel trilogy is so confusing, because the sequel trilogy goes from, is it going to be kid friendly? Is it going to be goofy? Is it going to be over the top gritty? And then and that's kind of lays the foundation for the entirety of Disney Star Wars, because like, Mandalorian, it's going to be kind of gritty. No, actually, it's kid friendly. Actually, we have baby Yoda in there. Okay, we're Andor. Oh, there's a rape scene in this one. It's kind of gritty and weird.
Yeah. It's a total whiplash, man. It's just
tone is so confusing. It's kind of the same thing with the James Gunn Superman. The DC universe. While I did like Superman, his Superman movie, I found it okay. It was a good watch. I'm not sure if it's a good foundation, but it was a good watch. I do enjoy it. I thought it was pretty fun.
I didn't hate it. It gets a lot of hate, and especially on FNT. I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. I think it's a bad film, but I enjoyed it. It's a bad film. I enjoyed it quite a bit
too. It's very comic booky. We kind of what I liked about James Gunn is that he embraces the silliness of comic books. And which is something that the Japanese have been playing to their advantage, where because right now superheroes in the West are seen as silly. So we have if a guy has dumb powers, he's useless. But if a guy has dumb powers in Japan, he could still be the most dangerous guy we've ever seen. Like, I can create bubblegum and I fill your lungs with bubblegum or whatever. Like, he'll be like this insane level villain with these retired powers. But the thing is, with James Gunn's Superman, you have like the Superman movie, which is kind of interesting, kind of fun. It's very comic booky, but that's supposed to be a little more kid friendly. And then, but he attached it directly to Peacemaker, which is not kid friendly.
What a retarded way to follow that up with friggin' Peace. And that is one of the most repulsive shows I've ever watched. But before we keep going on it, we do need to get rear back into the topics. And before we go there is a follow-up comment. But before we do that, was there anything else you wanted to kind of mentioned before we jump back on topic?
I think that was it.
That was it. Cool. Kosho in chat has a follow-up comment, and I feel they deserve to be heard out, because I kind of grabbed their comment and got triggered, or not triggered, but I went on my mini rant about that. And they say, no one is saying you don't have a right to comment on it, but the discussion would be aided by someone who can articulate their own beauty standards, not someone else's. That's all. And I get what you're saying there, because there are some female content creators, and the one that I'll mention, she used to go by The Authentic Observer, and now I think she's Galatea or something on her channel. But she has a great way of articulating things from a female point of view. And it's not that, men aren't able to articulate similar things, but she's just really, really good at it and speaks from her own direct experience really well. And so maybe, I don't know, Galatea would be awesome to have on the panel if she's ever available, because she is insightful and she knows what she's talking about. And so in that point, yes, I absolutely get what you're saying there. But let's move on to the first main topic of today, and Invincible. We need to talk about Invincible and Adam Eve, gentlemen, because the season is now wrapped up. It's concluded, and what people were expecting to happen happened, because it is in the comic books, but it still doesn't justify it or make it good storytelling or anything like that. Well, in terms of storytelling, I actually can see a validation for it being in the story, but it does kind of ruin your view of a certain character, because what she did was really scummy, and the reaction of Mark was really weak. And we're talking about Adam Eve aborting Invincible, Mark's child, and it was not depicted well in my mind. But John, I know you have some strong feelings on this topic.
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to adapt this, and there's certain scenes in that have left a big impact on Invincible. Guys, the first thing you got to remember is Invincible was never a hugely popular comic when it was out initially, but it's one of them ones that like keeps going in almost indefinitely. Like, did you know that Savage Dragon is still running to this day? Really? It's deplorable and disgusting, but it's still technically going. And Invincible was one of those ones that always kind of flew under the radar, because that was, even Robert Kirkland admitted, that was not his big moneymaker. And a lot of the more dramatic moments in this comic were what was edgy in the 2000s and 2010s. So, yeah, he was doing something that was not really done in a lot of comics. That kind of made it stand out some, but at the same time, we're in a way different cultural era right now. He was okay with changing so many other things about the show. My God, there was a whole filler episode in this season, where they basically came in and said, "Hey, hell's real, but heaven's not, and actually the devil's not that bad of a good guy, not that bad of a bad person."
Okay. I'll give them a slight bit of charity, even though I still think it's not good. Like this injected episode of Going to Hell. What the takeaway really was is that hell doesn't exist and Satan doesn't exist, but there are demons in the underworld that people call hell and Satan. And it's just that it's basically more a dig against religion, not a trying to present Satan, the embodiment of all evil, as good.
Is Kirkman like a boomer or something?
I don't know, man.
No, he's a millennial.
That's essentially what that episode was.
He is a millennial.
Yeah. The demon that everyone identified as Satan actually wasn't really, Satan, the angel cast out of heaven who's trying to tempt and destroy. No, he was just a random demon, a mortal demon in the underworld that people identified as Satan. And so, the main criticism
still kind of reeked of that 90s Reddit atheism.
That's what I was thinking. Why is he like a? That's what I was asking. Is he like a boomer or something? Because he has like that 90s era atheist. I hate the establishment sort of attitude.
It feels a bit.
No, that was he's a millennial. There's some millennials that kind of had that attitude as well.
But so the demon episode in my mind was more a dig against religion, that just religion wasn't true, than a validation or promotion of Satan or anything like that. Which is still I still didn't like it, and it was something they injected into the show, to my knowledge, right? That wasn't in the comics, and so they're willing to change things. They're willing to change, a tech jacket to be a girl, but they weren't going to change this, because it does seem like the creator is a bit more on the woke side of things, but that, like, just the fact that this isn't in the comics doesn't invalidate the criticism of it. And there is strong criticism of Eve's actions in killing Mark's unborn child and her unborn child. And so here is a tweet that got some legs of criticism against it. So here's the thing.
That's my boy.
Oh, yeah. I haven't come across this guy, or maybe I haven't remembered his name, but he says, I get what they were trying to do here, but it doesn't make sense for Eve as a character in the world they live in. Why would raising a child alone be a problem for her or scary? Very good point. And he goes on to say,
she rebelled against her parents and lived on her own.
Well, I mean, she doesn't have a job that she needs. She doesn't have go to school. Her powers can literally create amazing shelters and resources, though the powers weren't working while she was pregnant. But once child is born, powers will come back, and so she doesn't need to worry about providing for the child. So that's the point that I think they're getting at here. And then for Pete's sake, she used to live in a treehouse mansion for months without end. And if it's about losing her free time, she could easily hire a babysitter, true. And she would have the support of Mark's mum, who would be there in a heartbeat to help for her. And if it was so tough for her, she also could have given the baby up for adoption, and you know that the government would be all right, let's find the best parents and make sure this child is raised well, because they're going to be friggin' superpowered tough as hell, and that's like, important for global, security and things like that. And so all the reasons to try and justify her saying she really needed the abortion, like, just comes down as coming across as profoundly selfish. Like astronomically selfish. And because her excuse was she was lonely. That's kind of it. That's kind of her excuse for killing the child.
She was lonely, so I killed somebody. I killed the person who would stay with me. That was lonely, though. What?
She thought he was dead, so she got rid of the one thing that would have reminded her of him. That would have been
killing the baby makes no
significant.
Sense. Just have the baby and then turn it over. Why murder it? Why kill the baby? It looks
why?
And then it was wasn't a page in the comic book where she's like, "Are you still mad at me?" And then he's like, "Yes." He's like, "I can be mad at you, and you can also have nothing to apologize for." Like, why is that a thing? Yes, she has something to apologize. She murdered a baby.
She has something to apologize for. And I think that one of the biggest look, killing an unborn child is a crime enough, but another crime that is so astronomically messed up is that this is also Mark's child. She did it without talking. Like, any woman that would abort, someone's child without talking about the father, right, is so friggin' messed up. And yes, men should have a say in the ultimate, fate of their child. And that, progressives will say, "Oh, but it's her body, right? How dare you force her to do something with her body?" It's like, hang on, no. All right,
it's not your body anymore. It's the baby.
The baby is an individual and will grow to be an individual, and they're what needs to be considered. And that is the natural consequences of choosing to have sexual relationships with someone. You need to be mature enough to deal with the consequences and not be selfish to say, "Oh, I'm going to be inconvenienced for 9 months or whatever. That inconvenience is too great that I'm going to now kill this unborn child."
It's all good when we talk about men sacrifice. Men should sacrifice everything for his family. He should die. He should waste away all of his day working, and then also help around the house. He should just sacrifice everything. He should not want anything. Should not have any complaints or even standards. But when it comes down to, here's talk about what women have to sacrifice in the relationship. That's a point too far. Women shouldn't have to sacrifice anything if they don't want to.
No, like that. You're exactly right, Dev. Like anyone, and women need to understand this. If you are going to have sexual relationships with someone, you understand there is an obligation to accept the responsibilities. And if you fall pregnant, if you don't want it, bad luck. You did the deed, deal with the consequences. Life is special. Life is sacred. And if you don't want the child, that doesn't validate killing it in the womb because, it's taking away the agency of my body, and my body now has to be an incubator. Bad luck. It's the result of your own choices. Like, the whole abortion debate is just the most desperate attempt of avoiding accountability that I've seen from women in history, right? And I'm not saying men don't, ever avoid accountability, but there's a stereotype that this really plays into. And
today men are demonized. Men who try to avoid accountability, they're called deadbeats. They're just demonized by society. But on the other hand, women kind of refusing to take responsibility or refusing sacrifice, or it's encouraged by society. Like the idea of them just if they don't want to make the sacrifice, if they don't want to be inconvenienced, they can just do whatever. They can leave. They can leave a guy. They can do away with a baby, whatever it might be. They can just walk away from responsibilities because they shouldn't be held to account on those terms. And society supports that. It encourages that.
Have you seen the memes?
Oh my God, the memes.
Vulturemites, at least they waited 18 years before trying to kill their child. Pathetic.
At least they wait until he's rated for a test, and then we might be able to kill him.
Did you see the one of her chasing a baby Vulturemite through space?
Dude.
Oh my God. You want to know? You want a little? Oh, there it is. There it is. Mom, no!
Don't do it. What are you doing? Yeah, the
Hey,
theme's
Shad,
actually quite
Baby
funny.
killer.
You want to hear something really, really ironic?
Yeah.
You know that clip of nobody really watched that TV show Girls, where Adam Driver got his start, the one that unfortunately made Lena Dunham.
I know the one you're talking about. I know the exact one.
You know the scene that occasionally gets popped around where Adam Driver realizes that his girlfriend tells him that she had an abortion, and he
was the father.
throws stuff. He's angry, justifiably so. And they
Yep.
thought that scene was
such
showing
a girl
him in a
power
bad
moment.
light.
Yeah.
And it
was
didn't come
such a
across that
girl
way.
power
Guess
moment.
what?
Mhm.
Guess what? The actress from that scene is the actress for Adam Eve.
Oh, what really? I didn't know that.
She's got a body count on her.
She does. But what's hilarious about the scene you're talking about, the Adam Driver scene and her, right, is that it was written by feminists as this big girl power thing. Like, yeah, she's just so, I got an abortion. What's the big deal? Deal with it, right? And he flips out, and they really thought like it was showing her in a good light, and he was this villain, and it makes her look evil. It makes this woman look so friggin' evil, and people use that like in reverse to them, just show us like how crazy they are, and that the guy's reaction is completely justified.
Lost audio, bud. Your audio went out.
Really?
I don't know.
It sounded good on my end.
I don't know.
Is it?
But you're right about that, and that's a unfortunate thing that leftists tend to do is they tend to create small straw men. I'm frozen now for some reason. That's
frozen?
Hilarious. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear
now
you.
You're frozen, but we can hear you. But
you're still audio. Your audio's still out.
Well,
I can hear Shad.
We can't hear Shad, and y'all can't see me move. Lit Dev, are you still there, sir?
I could hear. I think it's might be on your end.
I think it's
Did the stream go down?
Sorry, John.
I'm checking the stream to see if
all right, but I might need to mute John just while he tries to figure it out when we hear him again. I'll just quickly message him in private chat.
Everything's fine. We can hear. They can hear all three of us, but I guess something happened on that end. But yeah, so the thing, as people have been, one of the other memes I saw that was really funny was the Anissa. What was her name? Anissa. Like she kept Mark's baby, and she raped him. Yeah. There's funny like. Or did she? Did she rape him in this one? I don't remember.
We don't know. That hasn't happened yet. But
I know she rapes him in the comic, but I don't know if she rapes him in like the show. I think they skipped over that.
Well, I think it's going to be in the next season. It hasn't happened yet. But this one's like, Mark, you're back. Yes, Thrag was too powerful. We had to abort. Funny you should say that.
Oh, so you're okay with aborting things, huh? Well, funny you should say that.
Funny you should say that. This one was kind of funny. It's like, this is the continuity we deserved. It's like,
no.
Really
shouldn't it have been this? Like, shouldn't she try to abort Mark's baby? And he should have like, no.
Exactly. Goes full Viltrumite. It's like not
like,
happening.
What if the baby survived? Like, what if the baby Viltrumite survived the abortion? Like Charlie from Always Sunny, so he survives his abortion. And comes back to fight her. That'd be kind of cool, right? This is a aborted baby comes back to get revenge on his heartless mother. That'd be kind of interesting.
Wow, this super chat is just very pertinent. Like Eve's entire life was people making sacrifices for her mum, adoptive parents, Dr. Elias. But when it was her turn, she folded under zero pressure. Yeah, it was really pathetic and sad. And I'm not like I'm against abortion, right? But if you, but having said that though. Abortion exists in the real world. And if you're writing a story that what you want to feel, is realistic to many different viewpoints and stuff like that, abortion can appear in a story because there are people that, believe in abortion. So I'm not saying it's completely, impossible to have in a story. I do have issues with if you're depicting it in a positive light in a way to promote it. What's interesting here with Adam and Eve stuff is that it feels like they were attempting for a girl power kind of entire, like, because Mark was so supportive and they want the audience to sympathize with Eve and say this was justified, when everything that they're showing actually does the opposite. It really makes Eve look selfish as hell, and that the abortion was unjustified, and it comes off as not being positive or promoting the ideology that they think that they're wanting to promote and normalize. Like, no, this looks really bad. And so like I said, I don't necessarily have an issue with abortion coming up as a subject matter in media, but if they're doing it in such a way to promote it, that's my issue. And I do get that it seems like that was their attempt, but they were just incompetent at it and they failed at it. And Eve ends up looking really, really bad for her. Mark's reaction to it is really pathetic. He's just like, you're so right. And Mark blames himself. It's my fault for being away that you were forced to do this horrible crime. It's like, Mark, come on, man.
I was away for a few years, so that's okay that you killed my son.
Oh, it was horrible.
What kind of a Greek tragedy is this? Like,
Yes.
I'm going to kill your son.
It's like, it makes Mark look really
You know, at least in Greek tragedy, Eve would be killed by the Furies because you're not supposed to kill family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Oh, dang it. There's another one. So, look, some of the memes that have been going around on this topic have just been kind of funny.
There's a lot of them.
Let's find something. Oh dear. Oh dear.
I mean, don't fight there. You're both in danger.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, actually. Maybe not the best choice after all. Oh my gosh. Like, so does this check people out of Invincible? I hope John is able to come back. Unfortunately, he's restarting his PC, he says, because I'd love to hear John's further comments, because he also has some strong criticisms against Invincible generally. And I'd like to touch on that a little bit, because Invincible overall, on balance, I think is still an enjoyable show. And there were these warning signs in season 1. It got turned down when Amber finally left the picture. But there are still like these little parts that are hanging on. And then this season, it's there as well, which is annoying because there are other parts of the season which are really good. And so I perfectly understand if this makes people check out of Invincible, and you're absolutely entitled to that. Well, like the whole abortion thing, as we've talked about, the narrative and justification on it was retarded. It makes Eve and Invincible look horrible. And it's so weak. It's my fault that you did this. It's like, come on. She chose not to tell him. And so she willingly took that burden on herself. And then, oh, boo-hoo, it was too hard. She could have had all the support from Debbie, the government, and everything, right? The fact that... just like I said, it makes it look so bad.
The abortion to the feminist contingent is a girl power move.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah. It's a strong, like, oh, she chose her own agency. And this, by the way, keep in mind, this is the kind of psycho contingent who watched the Acolyte. You're like, oh yeah, well, what's his name? The Squid Game Jedi. Well, he died incorrectly because he said, you can go ahead and kill me, and stole away her agent. That's how psycho these people are.
It's a window to their philosophy and morality. And when we see it, it's like, holy crap. No joke. Like the Acolyte was such a self-report, you wouldn't believe, where they sympathize with the villains and they celebrate this, character becoming evil and justifying murder. And then saying, when he says, he allows her to kill him, and that was him taking away her agency. No joke. That's what Leslie Headland said.
He said it's like that. Oh, he died. He allowed himself to be killed. Then therefore that took away her agency. She's killing him. He could do whatever he wants.
I know. It's unbelievable.
He should have killed her instead. Like he should have fought back and slaughtered.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But
I still maintain the Jedi did nothing wrong.
Yeah. It's just another symptom of where we are in modern media, where they're so desperate to validate their own ideology and have the characters in their stories then live their truth, right? Which is their own opinions on stuff. And because their ideology is inherently radioactive and immoral and on so many levels, it makes the characters and the stories they're making completely awful. And like this, again, the whole thing to try and show abortion as being perfectly acceptable, and if a woman is inconvenienced in any way and she's sad, perfectly justified. In fact, the men should bow down and accept it and then blame themselves for forcing them in that situation. It makes those characters look terrible. And it's just a perfect example of how this woke ideology is so toxic to good storytelling. right? And there's good parts in Invincible that I enjoy. There's potential in this show. And look, I own all the omnibuses, right? I'm an Invincible fan.
Well, the comic is better because they were just, as Kirkman says, dumb white kids back then. So they weren't worrying about wokeness and whatever the feminists thought. They were just worried about making a cool story. Not necessarily always a good one, but a cool one. And I read some of the original Invincible comic. Actually, it's pretty fun. We don't have the constant beating down of Mark. Not everyone is angry at him all the time for not telling him who he is. Like he has a supportive girlfriend, he's supportive people, is supportive best friend. Like when his friend, I think when his best friend finds out he's a superhero, he's like, "That's awesome." Instead of, "Why didn't you tell me?"
All right. Oh man,
it's so dumb.
Amber was so awful, right? In the cartoon show, but in the comics, she's fine. She's good, right? But again, Amber was just so entitled.
Amber in the comics, right? She breaks up with him only because she can't handle seeing him hurt, so she has to break up with him. It was like a noble reason. It wasn't like a selfish reason or anything.
Right. Gosh, it's just like I said, modern woke ideology is just cancer to good storytelling, and this Invincible is another example of it. All right, so when John gets back, we might be able to get some of his additional thoughts, but his PC is now restarting, updating. He said so. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back, but I want to move on to the next topic. Okay, it's time, Lit Dev. It's time I talk about my great shame. I'm ashamed of having watched
Rent a Girlfriend.
Rent a Girlfriend.
Isn't the one where it ends with the guy seeing her get married to someone else or something?
I don't know how it ends, and don't spoil it for me. And I'm ashamed.
I'm not sure. I just saw a comic. I saw a panel or a page. I'm not sure if that was a meme or not. It is like, it turns out that she gets married to the guy or something.
Let me explain myself here, because I'm not proud of it. But here's the thing. Let's be real about Rent a Girlfriend. It's a Japanese romantic comedy, anime, romantic comedy. Okay, and there are some redeeming aspects to it. And it is actually the characterizations of the main characters in the show are very authentic. Okay, these actually feel like real enough characters. Some are on the more extreme quirky end, but okay, it does some things that are actually authentic, and it understands how to keep the audience kind of hooked and baited, and that's one of my big annoyances with it. But at the same time, the overall kind of message, it seems like Rent a Girlfriend is this proposition: could a simp hard enough? Just like, could he be the biggest simp in the world that he might actually be able to win the heart of the thought? That's like the premise of Rent a Girlfriend. And that's about
as much as I know. It's about a story about ultimate simping.
Ultimate simping, right? And all right, here's the other side to the simp dichotomy, right? In a healthy relationship, I do believe both partners should simp after one another equally. You should be going out of your way to do things that your partner would love and appreciate because you want to make them happy. And that should be reciprocated. Okay, that's a healthy relationship. The simp, dichotomy is that only goes one way. And the other woman is the thought. It was just taking all that attention, all these, gifts and things like that. And I got to say, the main girl character in Rent a Girlfriend does that a lot, where she takes all this, she takes his money, she takes his attention, and she barely reciprocates anything. And it frustrates the hell out of me. But first, let me reel this back. Why did I even dare attempt watching this? Okay. I saw that it had a lot of attention, and some things crossed my my Twitter feed about it. And people were saying it was really good, and other people commenting on it. I'm thinking, oh, well, this is weird, right? There is this entire other world of anime that I've never kind of, seen at all. And it's like, and it's the rom-com. When I'm scrolling Crunchyroll and everything, you get the like rom-com fix come up, and there are all these anime romance things. And I'm like, there's a lot of this crap. Like there shouldn't be this much if it's all terrible, right? Am I right? And so I'm like, anime has had, good writing in many examples. This one is one of the more prominent, rom-com anime. I kind of just needed to know why are people like it? What is this about? What is Rent a Girlfriend, right? And so out of morbid curiosity, I decided, let me find out. Okay. Now,
Then when Shad's journey.
4 seasons later.
Well, here's the thing, though. I'm not really surprised you like the show because, I mean, after your rant on Twilight, I mean,
well,
it only makes sense.
I have the ability to enjoy romance. Okay. I think Pride and Prejudice is one of the greatest literary works we have. And not only that, the character work in Pride and Prejudice is flawless. It is top tier. The way that she understands, like, no one writes stupid people better than Jane Austen. I'm not kidding. If you want to see stupid people depicted, but in these wonderful scenarios, quirky situations, and they say things that go over people's heads, but other people read between the lines and then they make comments that they know other people won't get, but they're slight digs. Like Pride and Prejudice is peak. All right. And if you don't want to read it, watch the no joke, watch the BBC live action Pride and Prejudice. It's a long running, but it is actually peak character
back when the BBC was good.
Back when the BBC was good. All right. And so yes, I appreciate things in Twilight. Okay. Twilight is very what they would call traditional, heteronormative. The Chad guy wants to protect the girl. Okay. And I appreciate that. I appreciate traditional things. So look, it's not beyond me to enjoy a romance.
So perhaps we judged you too harshly, Twilight.
Right. I actually think that I could do a whole thing on Twilight just on its own about the merits of it. Okay, don't tempt me, Dev.
I do a long man video. It's like
long man on Twilight.
Chad goes 5 hours on Twilight.
And I'm not saying it's perfect. There are some parts of Twilight that are horribly written and legitimately weird and creepy. Like Edward stalks her, watches her while she sleeps. He's really old. She's a teenager. I get that. I get that. Okay?
He's handsome, so it's not actually stalking.
Well, exactly. That seems to be the gauge on if it's stalking or not. If they're hot, it's not stalking for some reason in the girl's mind. I don't know the difference, but that seems to be it. So, okay, that's some preamble about me being able to appreciate romance, genre and stuff. And Rent a Girlfriend was people talking about it, morbid curiosity, decided to watch it. It has Rent a Girlfriend. It has done some character work, and I mentioned that the character work is actually oddly realistic in a very blunt, kind of almost crude way. Hey, John, how are you? Welcome back.
I am so sorry about that. On my end, both of you I couldn't hear anything you were saying. Shad, you had spoken.
Yeah.
I apologize. Please carry on.
It's happened to me before several times. So,
yeah. But just joined us. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm now in the middle of my Rent a Girlfriend rant. But John, you've just frozen again. I don't know.
I see that.
Camera. So, but
can you still hear?
We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll try and continue. Sorry, you got to indulge me because I want to explain this stuff about it and why I think people it's so popular and why we're watching it. Okay. And so the show starts with a really sad, pathetic, we lost her, pathetic main character who's just gone through a breakup and is moping and being really pathetic about himself, right? And sad on himself. Here's the thing though, that is a real experience that a lot of guys go through, a rough breakup. Okay. And so already there is like a underdog element that people would start to get endeared toward this character. There's like, all right, he's sad, but a lot of people have gone through similar experiences. They want to experience kind of, will this guy, overcome this thing? And so he's so distraught about his breakup that to try and get over it, he comes across this Rent a Girlfriend service and he decides to do that. He rents her out and he is blown away by how pretty she is and how nice she is, but he's also confused by how nice she is because he knows it's fake. He knows it's not real. And so it's all right, you get some credit there. And I have so many annoyances with this show. Like I said, I've never watched a show more in my life because ultimately it comes down to that concept that I talked about. Can a simp so hard that he wins the heart of the thought? I resent that premise. But there are elements that I understand why people would connect with what's going on here because they be honest about what the main character's experience is. And the main character actually has, even though he's really pathetic in a lot of ways, he has one or two redeeming virtues that I did appreciate. And one thing in particular that you don't see a lot, it depends. Maybe, Dev, you could give me your perspective on this part, right? Where he does something that I actually gained a bit of respect from me for this character. And that might have been the thing that made me want to find out how it ends. And that's the thing that just dragged me on through the 4 seasons and me getting continually frustrated. And not because I do not like the main character girlfriend, Chizuru, her name is, right? Because she's a thought and she's just taking all his affection and attention and not reciprocating. And she should have called it off, but she's kind of doing it because she doesn't want to admit she has feelings for him, but she knows she kind of has. It's that annoying kind of stuff, right? But anyway, there is a moment in the show where another girl basically throws herself at him and wants to sleep with him. And because he doesn't love her and he's in love with this other girl, Chizuru, he turns her down. And he actually does the honorable and respectable thing. And the setup, this guy is a virgin and he is desperate to have sex, right? And it's the whole kind of virgin tribe. And so he's been wanting his whole life. And he gets this opportunity with this gorgeous knockout girl who actually likes him. And I'm frustrated to hell with him that he like, I'll talk about
to quit the weird girlfriend thing and go with her because she's
exactly the whole show. I'm just watching this and saying, you have this other girl that actually likes you and is willing to cook for you and do all these nice things for you, and you can't see it because you're infatuated with a thought, you retard. Frustrates the hell out of me. And so Ruka is actually like the best character in the show, bar none. Don't at me, right? But Ruka is actually a fun, interesting character. She loves him. She does throw herself at him at one point, and he does the honorable and respectable thing and doesn't do it because he's not in love with her. And he's right in that sense. Like, you shouldn't sleep with someone, lead someone on, right? If you're not actually in love with them. And he's like, he couldn't do that to her and be that cruel to her. And it's like, all right, you gain my respect for doing that. That was one thing that gained my respect and made me interested to know how it ends. It also was frustrating because this is the girl that he should be with, that actually likes him, that's willing to actually reciprocate his affection where the other girl won't. And that's pissing me off. All right. And he can't see it. Ruka is this other girl who was a renter girlfriend. When she ran into him, she quit being a renter girlfriend to be with him. So she's willing to actually sacrifice me. This other girl is going on dates with all these other men, getting the money and not reciprocating his affection. And that's why I can't stand Chizuru as a result. Okay. So there's like these layers. And so I guess what can be considered credit to the show is the layers to it. Sorry, John, I didn't see you back. I'm ranting on this thing.
Rant away, sir.
So there is actually some complex dynamics in the romance, and it got to a point where I just needed to see how it ends, specifically because I actually liked Ruka. And Ruka, like, she's this agent of chaos in the show that constantly wants to ruin his chances with this other girl. And because I hate this other girl, I love it whenever she throws a spanner in the works. And that makes me like Ruka more. And then I get pissed off and frustrated that the main character doesn't actually figure it out. And so that's kind of a lot of the summary of Rent a Girlfriend. But ultimately, I don't recommend it because the show then just drags things on, and the character doesn't wake up. And then it basically, like, you got me invested enough with like this character that make me want to figure out where things might go. And then the show constantly blue balls you and subverts the payoff, where you're expecting him to either profess his love to Chizuru or figure it out with Ruka, and everything in the universe comes in to delay it, where he's about to confess and then he gets a phone call, or is about to confess and then she says, don't do it, and it's just frustrating and it's annoying. And season 4 was the biggest blue ball of writing I've ever seen in my freaking life. Where they literally open up the season with him saying he's going to make the decision, and at the end of the season, they subvert it. And I'm like, you piece of crap. I'm done with this.
Welcome to romance anime, where it's just,
right?
Right? It always goes out that they're almost about to do it, and then, here comes the best friend, or someone gets shot, or something like that. Something happens.
So one thing that I will give the show credit for is that it actually is not embarrassed about depicting young male attraction, honestly. And it actually does that it depicts certain things that should be depicted as kind of shameful. Like the guy, he's a virgin, he wants to have sex, and is hooked on pornography and jerking off. And the show depicts that as kind of pathetic. Good. It's like, okay, the show's actually willing to, like, you need a proper relationship. This kind of gooning stuff isn't really, not healthy. And And the show actually shows that. It's like, okay, you get some credit there. Then what the show also does, to a fault, which is, it annoys me, but it is actually realistic, character work. The guy stresses out over the tiniest things, where if this girl looks at him sideways, he's like, what did that mean? Does she like me? Does she not like me? The thing is, though, I've literally seen guys do that in real life. No joke. I had a best friend in high school. When he had had a crush on a girl, he overthought everything. And it annoyed me, but he did it, right? And this character is doing that, but then the show just does it again and again. And I actually end up skipping a lot of the crap where it's like, I know what they're doing. They're just going to be stressing out about just one small encounter, get to the conclusion or skip past it and nothing. And so the show is masterful at filler content when keeping the audience, I guess, not engaged, because I was engaged. I was annoyed with it, but wanting to know what's going on. But it goes too far to a point where it's annoying and frustrating, and I'm done with it at this point. But there is interesting things to consider about the show that it's like, all right, it does this half decently. This is realistic. The character work isn't terrible, but then it does all this other stuff which is really annoying, and I can't stand. And at the end of the day, I'm like, so the show is very good at manipulating the audience. I think it's very good at kind of baiting and hooking and keeping you dragged on. And when I can see that it's doing it so blatantly, now I'm basically done with it. Sorry, you failed at hooking me in. But I can understand why people have been hooked on such a show, and also why people both love and hate it. It's actually an interesting piece of media to consider at the end of the day. Now, after having watched 4 seasons of the crap.
Shad, I went through this exact same arc with a webcomic a while back. It was called Mega Tokyo, and it had some really good art, and it had a very similar little plot thread. The main character moved to Japan because the artist himself moved to Japan, and the main character had a crush on a cute girl that worked at a local convenience store, and they had similar tastes. They both played video games and things like that, and that was like the little emotional hook of getting you in there. It's like, oh, when's he, can he close the deal and, let this girl know that he's wants to go out with her. And that dude drove that tension into the ground for years. I gave up. Yeah. I gave up after several years. I'm like, it was like that moment in Mystery Science Theory 3000 when they're watching Manos, the Hands of Fate, and Joel just screams, do something! Right. No, you're right. And because that's the kind of thing, like, the show did enough to get me invested in the main character, even though the main character is really pathetic. He cries too much. He thinks like, it is way too much of a simp. He has some redeeming parts about him. The fact that he has an amount of personal respect and honor for, other girls, women, and stuff like that. And he's willing to do some pretty, like season 3 of this show, right? He makes a GoFundMe to fund an entire film for this thought because her dream is to be an actress. And he ends up producing and enable and getting, he makes an entire film that she gets to, act in, right? And that's still not enough for her to, figure out that this guy's willing to do anything for you. And so that made me hate her even more. But at the same time, it shows this guy's willing to do some really like big things for the person he loves, right? And so there's an honorable thing about that. But then the pathetic thing about it is you're doing it for someone that doesn't give a crap. And he kind of hopes, and he's just doing it because he's so nice. And he says that she's done so much for him. She has given him the meager crumb of attention, and any main attention he had to pay for, and then is grateful for it. And I'm like, come off it, you pathetic. I get that. Like I said, the simping in this show is next level. But the arc is, I guess, for the simp, is there a dream that you could simp so hard that you could win the heart of the thought? And that's where the ultimate payoff. But it's undermining, like you said, John, where it's not giving the proper payoff. The big
thing with Pride and Prejudice is the payoff, where you get invested in these characters and you see them finally come to an understanding of one another and fall in love and to profess their love. There is good, strong emotional payoff when that happens. And so Rent a Girlfriend is shooting yourself in the foot because it actually makes you somewhat invested in this character that is both annoying as hell, pathetic as hell, with only a few redeeming things, but because it's actually being honest about some, and even, dare I say, even many young men's experiences with stressing over, relationships, trying to, find something more wholesome in their life and things like that. And speaking to something that I think young men do understand and would connect with, you get invested in this character enough that then it just drags off the payoff completely, all throughout the fact that through multiple seasons, there is a girl that is gorgeous and loves him to death, and he will not accept that affection because he's obsessed with this other entitled thought, and they just want to punch the retard in the head. It's like, but then Ruka is legitimately funny, and she is like, again, an agent of chaos, which is working to undermine this toxic relationship that makes me like Ruka more. And so now I want to see what happens to Ruka because I do like her. And the show manipulated enough to get me invested to want to know what happens. I went through 4 seasons, and then season 4 blue-balled you the entire time.
When it comes, in storytelling, when it comes to like relationship stuff like this, usually when they get together is like the cathartic end of the end payoff. But an audience will really catch on to when you are dragging it out or in an artificial sense. Mm-hmm. And it needs you kind of have to. There's something to be said for, having this done in a timely and effective storytelling manner. But if you drag it out too long, they catch it. In the romance genre, they have a whole bunch of these that they use: the misunderstanding trope, the interruption trope. And man, it's soap opera-ish, right? Because the soap operas go on forever. But, I think people would rather have a definitive end at the very least.
Well, exactly. Having a satisfying ending earlier is far more important than dragging something out to the point where it gets frustrating, unrealistic. And we understand, like the whole point of the show is the build up to the relationship. The story effectively should end when they get together. Like Pride and Prejudice and so many romances, and that's the satisfying ending. It's good to have these endings. I'm not saying I would like to see a drama show actually succeed in moving beyond the marriage and then having a family drama after with a good healthy relationship and overcoming it should be possible, but so many shows do just kind of lose.
It's a little tricky because your relationship does not end when you get together with somebody. It actually begins, and then there is a whole different set of hurdles and whatnot. But the great thing about a good relationship is that it comes from the reciprocation. You both care for each other, so you are both devoted to each other. You are both you're always going to have little speed bumps in the road. I've been with my same woman for 26 years, so believe me, I know you have your hurdles, you have your you have your pitfalls and things like that you come across, but that's going to happen in any relationship, no matter how long or short term that it may be. And so the strength of it comes from you're there for each other. I've always used the analogy that a relationship is like a 3-legged race. I've never said that I wear the pants or my wife wears the pants of the family. We both have one leg in one leg of the pants, and as long as we're moving in rhythm in the same direction, we will get where we're going.
Yeah. Interesting. I saw a super chat about, moving past the relationship into marriage, that Mashoko Tensei kind of does that. It's like, I'll be interested to see how they go. The next season is going to be very interesting with Mashoko Tensei because I forget the redhead name character, but she's obviously coming back, and the season is going to have an interesting conflict when she comes back because she's in love with him, and then she finds out he's married to 2 other women. I'm very interested to see how she reacts, but obviously it's a harem anime. He's going to accept it and just become the 3rd wife. But I've not read the manga, but I'm expecting, my guess is that she comes back with his child. That because when she left, that she was his first love, and so I'm thinking that she actually found out. My guess is that she was pregnant, and then she comes back with a child of his, and that's going to cause shenanigans in Mashoko Tensei. So that could be interesting. I saw a super chat that was relevant to the current discussion about Rent-A-Girlfriends. Like, Shad, what do you think of the other girls like Mammy, Nanami? I forget who's Nanami. I don't remember all their names, but Mammy. So Mammy is his ex-girlfriend, right? And one of the things I get, she is evil. She's actually first it comes off like she is manipulative and jealous that he's gotten over her so quickly. She doesn't know that she's a rental to begin with, right? But the show is not afraid of depicting female characters being completely manipulative, and actually, like, it comes off in the later seasons that Nami is actually just real evil. She wants to destroy every relationship she sees because she had a relationship that ended bad and she can't stand other people being happy. And so the fact that there's this manipulative, duplicitous, evil ex-girlfriend that is like, all right, for like, she's a good character in the sense that well written and serving the plot well, and that they're not afraid of making her being like the villain of the series, basically. And so in that sense, I like Nami because she's serving a plot authentically, not because she's a good person. She's not, right? But it's interesting that there are redeeming elements about this frustrating show. And what's weird, right? People have actually been mentioning that there's weird things about the writer of the show now, that the writer has fallen in love with the Chizuru, the main female rental girlfriend. And that, like, where was the comment? Someone said, here it is, like, the author of Rent-A-Girlfriend is literally so obsessed with Chizuru that he prevents the main character from actually getting with her, as he wants her for himself, and he'll never let them be together. First, weird, okay, admittedly weird.
Little oddball.
Little odd, but in terms of industry, I don't want the main character to get with Chizuru, because Chizuru is awful. She is so naively predatory to the main character, and she deep down knows she has feelings, but she's like, that would mean that she is breaching the contract of her agency, so she can't admit it, but then she's still willing to get a payday and all this. Like, she should, like, if she was a good, decent person, the very moment she noted, like, she's trying to deny her feelings, she knows she has feelings for this guy, she should have quit the rental girlfriend thing and professed her affection or attraction to him. But she's waiting on him because she thinks he doesn't like her, and she's bloody blind. And people have literally said point blank to her that no, the main guy, he's head over heels with her. And she's like, no, she's an idiot. Can't stand it. So yes, I don't want her to get with him. And like I said, I've watched the 4 seasons now, so now I'm all I'm like both annoyed, not invested. I'm checked out at the moment. Will I watch it? I don't know. It probably won't be back in. It's fresh anyway. Stupid show.
Never simp.
I think
never suffer a thought, and never let yourself be put in the friend zone.
I think it goes down to what men and women are looking for in romance, like in romance stories. Like men can like romance too, but as I said before, it's a little bit different. Like, men want the automatic partner that, I think Mushoku Tensei probably does that. Like, you get, maybe you earn her, but there's a designated person that you're going to be with. Like, ReZero does this too. Mm-hmm. Like, they're not together, but they're together. Where, as opposed to like what women want to see, they want to see the relationship like develop. They want to see the conflicts of the relationship either blossoming or actually being in the relationship and then having the conflicts there. They want that social drama.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know who the author is for Rent-A-Girlfriend.
This has been my main foray into anime rom-com, and I don't see myself watching anymore, because like, this is another one that's come up. When people heard that I've researched Rent-A-Girlfriend, they've recommended this. There's like the anime rom-com or manga, My Dress Up Darling. A lot of people talk about that one, and so I was like, all right, I tried to give it a go, and that is just way too pervy. It's all about fan service, that one, and it's like, look, that is all about trying to make eye candy for lonely young guys, and I don't need that, and I'm not interested, and the relationship dynamics were weak as well, and so no, not into My Dress Up Darling at all. It got way too pervy for me. It's not to say that Rent-A-Girlfriend doesn't flirt with that, but it doesn't go over the line, and some of the like pervy stuff that it explores, actually speaks to young male attractive kind of, you know, natures, the natural nature of their attraction towards women. And it, like I said, it has him addicted to porn and gooning and stuff, and it doesn't depict it in a positive light. I actually kind of appreciate that about Rent a Girlfriend, where My Dress Up Darling was just all fan service. And yeah, but I think this has been my main experience with anime rom-com. Other people have been now, the chat are recommending other ones. It's like,
never doubt anime fans to come up with new recommendations for you.
This is true. This is
Oh, you know what's a good one, Shad? A good rom-com I think you might like. It's called Berserk. I think
that one sounds decent.
That's pretty good. It's called Berserk because of how funny it is.
Yeah, Mashoko Tensei, like that's a. That was
I mentioned earlier in the stream, Shad, that I've had my issues with anime sometimes feeling like it was written by aliens trying to emulate human behavior, and like nowhere is this more evident than in a lot of the interactions between men and women in there. Freedom was a good example. Like there are so many busted male-female dynamics in that show. It's not even funny to me. It's actually, I was pointing them out when I was watching it with my daughter. Like there's the assumption that Fern and Stark kind of have a crush on each other, but they don't know how to communicate it. It's like, what teenage boy at some point in his life has not communicated with other girls enough to not really even know how to communicate? She's never communicated with anyone either, but Fern apparently knows, assumes that Stark is a pervert at every point in time, to the extent that she won't even let him, the muscle of the group, carry Fern when she falls down and passes out. And yeah, that's to say nothing of the relationship between Frieren and Hero, gosh, he went 80 years waiting for Frieren to let him hit, and it just didn't. Like,
yeah, because she left for 50 years.
Yeah, she left for 50 years, and he was still waiting on her. Like, it goes to speak that they're both kind of broken. Him being the world's biggest simpish hero, and her being the most indifferent girl in the world. That she was with these people for 10 years and just did not pay attention to what they were like.
You know,
people
in chat are recommending things that I know you're just trolling me now. Like
which one is that one?
Just by that name, I have a feeling that no.
They keep telling me that exists, but I couldn't find it anywhere. But I have heard that it is about a main character who likes magic girls a lot, and I heard that it's very pervy, apparently.
Look at the title,
gushing
over. It's like, don't. I know you're trolling me now. Don't even start now. That just doesn't make. I don't trust anyone in chat now because people are recommending other ones, and I'm like, what?
Oh, look, High School DxD.
Oh yeah.
No, I don't. No,
that's a rom-com.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it because I know how pervy anime can get. All right, and so no, stop. Yeah, I know they're trolling me. I know they're trolling. Because
trolling.
I recognize one of them in the chat, not only through reputation. I was actually on a stream years ago where the guy on a stream decided to give me all the information on an anime called something Healer or something like that. And
or Redo of Healer.
Redo of Healer.
That was big for a while. That was big for a while.
It's like I know it by reputation, and I'm like, okay, there's a side of anime.
Women love that one. Women really like Redo of Healer.
Oh, really? So,
yeah.
Rent a Girlfriend. That one I tried, and like I said, it was an interesting experience. Let me sum it up. I could say it was an interesting experience. There we go. I'm done. I'm done on the Rent a Girlfriend arc. Though the thing is, though, I wonder if I'll bother, because the season 5, I watched the first episode of season 5, and that's where I really got checked out, because it's just like constant, delaying and subverting and nonsense. And the only thing why I could see myself finishing it off is that I want to see how it ends. I want to see what happens to Ruka, the actual enjoyable character in it. And the guy, he has some redeeming aspects, even though he's a pathetic simp. I'm kind of like, am I interested enough to see how it ends? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, gentlemen. I'm glad. Thank you for entertaining me on that. I had to get it off my chest because that was an experience. But let's move on to some of our last topics for the day. Did you guys have heard? Have any of you been a fan of Scooby-Doo at any point?
Oh yeah, I was a huge fan of Scooby-Doo when I was a kid. I used to record some episodes on tape and everything.
I wouldn't say I was a huge fan, but I've seen my share of Scooby-Doo.
I watched all the spin-offs too. I watched Scooby-Doo, 13 Goes to Scooby-Doo, and the movies like Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. And what was it? And those new ones that they made with the actual monsters like Zombie Island and everything. I watched all those too.
I should probably state that like I watched like OG Scooby-Doo and a pup named Scooby-Doo they had in the 90s. And then by the time Zombie Island and that whole era of the 2000s Scooby-Doo's came along, I was in my 20s and I had found other things to watch by that point. So I don't have quite the quite the fan connection to that particular era that everyone else, a lot of people did.
Yeah, me neither. Like Scooby-Doo was the cartoon I would suffer to watch when there was nothing else on and I just wanted to watch TV. And I never found myself enjoying it, thinking this is great. I never really enjoyed any of the reboot live action movies or anything like that. But there's a fan base for it. People love it. It's not my thing, but I do appreciate that LitDev is an OG fan of it because I want to get his views on it because there is a new, after the many other ones, live action, series of Scooby-Doo in the works. And LitDev, what do you think about this promo for the team? What do you notice about this?
Let's see. I've noticed that Shaggy does not have his iconic green shirt.
No, he doesn't. What I notice about is that this casting actually looks decent from the OG cartoon. Like that looks like they all look like the characters. And Velma isn't black. I thought that that's an odd thing. Usually when they diversify a character, they never go back. But no, that is like traditional Velma.
I think they may have touched the iron. What is that phrase? They got burned by that Velma show. They're like, okay, we went a little too far with it.
That Velma show was so vile, man.
Literally one of the worst TV shows ever made.
No joke. One of the worst shows ever made. I think I watched only a couple of episodes because I was covering it with FNT, but it was disgusting. It was disgusting. To me, that felt like that was the death of Scooby-Doo, where they're willing to bastardize a show to that level. But no, it's apparently not. There is still some attempt to keep that franchise alive with Netflix. That's like,
oh, this is Netflix.
This is Netflix.
Oh, that's even more shocking.
Surprisingly white cast for Netflix.
It is for Netflix. Very surprising. But at the same time, it is still Netflix. They could have a perfect cast and the show could be an absolute train wreck. Like, there's no guarantee if it's from Netflix. Netflix has had some bangers. One Piece. Who would have thought, right? But then you get Cowboy Bebop as well. And it's just like,
you gotta have the creator there. You gotta have the creator present.
Exactly. Like,
to start whip people back in shape.
It's Netflix, There's no guarantee that this is going to be a proper adaptation still. Will they make Velma gay? Will, what's the redhead's name? I forget her name. Will she be a girl boss? Daphne. Because Daphne was the damsel in distress. Like, I would
now because of the live action movie.
Exactly right. They had to make her into because she was such. This is when they were started to flirt with the woke ideology, and stuff started to go under the radar. But they could when you look back in retrospect, they were clearly making changes because of ideological reasons. And what they did with Daphne was exactly one of those. Sarah Michelle Gellar, isn't she the one that played Daphne in the remakes? Buffy.
That's why they gave her like kung fu powers.
Exactly. She was like a kick butt fighter. I kind of look, they did try and justify it. She went and trained and learned how to fight because she was sick of being a damsel in distress, always getting rescued. And I was like, okay, maybe there's something to work. But you could tell that the reason why it feels like they did that to Daphne's character is because they resented her needing to be saved all the time. I would give this show a lot of credit. Like, you got balls. They would embrace the traditional thing of her being the damsel in distress that needs to be saved. She will still contribute to the crew and stuff, but They wouldn't do that. I don't think they'd have the balls to just go full traditional. Though one odd thing, there is a character missing from this picture, and that's Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, there's no Scooby-Doo.
It's like, okay, odd omission there. There's a
He's missing. They got to find him.
Maybe. Who knows?
Interesting thing about Scooby-Doo, it's one of those franchises that like doesn't necessarily have like a long extended canon. What it has is every generation kind of gets their own iteration of it, kind of like Ninja Turtles or Transformers. And you know, the 70s had their version, and they had the same version in the 2000s, and you know, just this it's time for another iteration of it. Thankfully, not in the style and or tone of Velma. My God, but
I watched one episode of that one. It's awful. Did I say that? Did I tell you the twist on that one? I think I did last time, or did I not?
But like that. That's one of those shows that I'm very happy to excise that from my memory. Any mention of it.
Well, I mean,
didn't they kick it off the streaming service?
That was still there. It's still on HBO, unfortunately. But the thing is, they're really obsessed with very young men. I think someone mentioned this in the other videos. I forgot who it was. It was Jezebel. Like she talked about this too, where the modern day what women want, in men is that they look like little boys. Like she kind of compared to male models in the 90s who look like masculine chads to male models today who look like little boys or teenage boys. And then you kind of
I know what you mean, like modern male actors that like Timothy Chalamet. They kind of
that's why they obsessed all over Timothy Chalamet. Yeah. That's why they obsessed all over Timothy Chalamet to the point where they made someone made a I think it was a New York Times opinion article where they're expressing their severe disappointment in him because how dare he act like a man, because he's very prideful, very proud about his acting abilities and everything. So no, he was supposed to be the soft boy that they want. They're supposed to be this timid little. They kept calling him delicate Mr. Chalamet. Everything they liked him because he looked like a little boy. That's what they liked.
And then he came out and said ballet is boring. Ballet and opera is not boring. It's boring and it's not popular. And they just lost their mind.
They hated the fact that he had male opinions. He's not supposed to have soft boy opinions.
And he can play a strong male lead in like Dune. He actually he owns that character and did a really good job. And
good job. I like that movie.
Yeah, I was not unhappy with his portrait because that's a hard thing to do. Because one, he looks like a teenager. Okay, Paul is canonically 16 years old in Dune, and Kyle MacLachlan, love that guy as well. That man looked like he was definitely in his mid-20s when he was in the original Dune. Although I love that movie too. But Timothée Chalamet, I was kind of worried. Like, okay, he pulls off the timid teenage prince for the early part. Can he pull off the young leader of an entire planet of jihadists? And I'm shocked. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised that yes, he could do that.
Well, speaking of pleasantly surprised, still too soon to tell, but I do think the casting so far on this new Scooby-Doo thing looks on point. It's like, all right, that's a step in the right direction, but because it's Netflix, there is no guarantees on this at all.
It's gonna be up in the air. But the point earlier was that we have the Timothy Chalamet, the modern day thing where they're obsessed with like men like boys. Then they go to gay Superman, and remember they aged up Superman's son Jonathan Kent to exactly 17, and again they made him gay, and that's all it's about. It's him and his gay boyfriend and their love affair. And so the twist, one of the early twists of Velma that you get in the first episode, is that Freddy. Velma has a crush on Fred, and that Fred his secret is that he never went through puberty.
Yeah, it was such a vile show.
It's like, oh yeah, your skin is your face so boyish. Like they kind of obsess over his boyish looks, and that's a weird twist.
The whole show tore down the male characters like that. That was a vindictive writer. Mindy
he's the only character that got to remain white, and he's like the douchebag.
Oh yeah, well they tortured him. She killed his mother, didn't she? At some point,
wouldn't surprise. I can't remember much about the show.
He was there to be what I call the beating stick of a story. The character that absorbs all the punishment. He was kind of like Mark from Invincible.
Yeah, like I remember some things about, I don't know, someone's face getting smashed into a dead corpse or something like that. The show was disgusting. It was disgusting. Velma, and I'm interested to see if they will try and redeem some of the damage Velma did with this remake. I don't know, man. But look, I'm not a huge Scooby-Doo fan in the beginning of the whole discussion, so it's not something that would interest me. But I am interested in what the fans' reaction will be, and if they will be true to the source material. And so I think I'll be following the news around it for that. But I'm not sure I'll watch. Maybe I will. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I think a good litmus test is that how they handle Shaggy. If Shaggy is a druggie in this one, okay, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Shaggy never smoked weed. He never smoked marijuana once in any iteration he's ever been. He only made that joke once, and he was cooking food, which is a Shaggy thing to do anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
But he does. This guy, I can see a Shaggy there. I think that looks like Shaggy.
They look pretty good. It all looked pretty good. It all looked like the character's supposed to, which is I thought was impossible because for the longest time they kept making excuses as to why of the depiction on screen in our live action version why they can't look like, the characters from the original show. They had to look different, like Faye Valentine from Cowboy Bebop. Oh, she can't look like that because that's impossible.
Right. That was so.
And then you go into her past and find that same actress in like a bra and panties in a completely different movie.
Yeah. And then people's like, she was trying to say people don't look like Faye Valentine, and then people just showed cosplayers looking like Faye Valentine. So it's all like deflection and cope.
And then we look at what was it? Birds of Prey, like we talked about earlier. Like it just kept seeming like they thought it was like they're trying to push the idea that it was impossible, that we can never make a accurate looking thing. And I was like, what kind of wizardry did Zack Snyder pull to make everyone look like it's supposed to in Watchmen? How is that?
How do you know if you never even try? That's my complaint when it comes to that particular excuse. It's like the people that say, well, we can't make a book to movie 1-1 transition. How do you know? You've never tried. I've never seen it try. Sin City might be the closest, and they ended up adding stuff that made that movie better.
Sin City was awesome. I like both of them, in fact.
If they have talent, they can make an accurate and good adaptation. Look at Project Hail Mary. What a great example. And then Night of the Seven Kingdoms. You can absolutely make phenomenal adaptations. Some things obviously have to be changed because of medium, but they use that as an excuse because it's a change in medium. That gives us license to change everything, or things that we arbitrarily do. It's like, no, some things are really easy to keep the same, like the look of the characters. That's not hard. And now it's at a point when you don't do that, it's an instant red flag and people are checked out. And so I don't think Netflix is learning from anything from having accurate casting, but at least it's a step in the right direction. But hey, gentlemen, let's catch up on the super chats and start wrapping up.
Chad, before you get started real quick, my wife says she needs me for something we got to go take care of. So I'm going to go ahead. Since we're at the end, I'm going to go ahead and scoot. All right.
No worries, mate. It's good to have you. Appreciate you. We will see you next time.
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
It happens. Not a problem.
It happens. Especially with StreamYard.
yeah, right. Nathan Cassidy, 499 says, to Shad's point, women in World of Warcraft overwhelmingly play Alliance until Blood Elves came along, the pretty race.
And then they got the pretty race, which is only natural. I mean, a lot of guys like to play Horde. I played Alliance because I wanted to play Alliance. I love the Alliance because Warcraft was another thing I was a hardcore fan of for a long time.
Yeah,
I wanted to play Alliance.
You know what really opened my eyes to like the fact that women really like, playing attractive characters and stuff. So mate of mine, friend, co-host on FNT, as Hills vs. Babyface, got into Conan Exiles, and that's like, that game is my jam. And so I jumped on with him and we were playing multiplayer, but then he brought in all our friends, a lot of the friends in the sphere,
and a bunch of mods too.
A lot of them were the girls. So X-Ray Girl came on and joined, Cara Lynn, Nina Infinity. And so they came into Conan Exiles, and I got to add some good customization mods and everything like that. And the players on the server that made the most extremely sexualized female characters, the most scantily clad female characters without competition, were each one of the girls. Like X-Ray Girl's character was like, that was like,
I remember we had to add mods to make the boobs bigger. Like the amount of the size of boobs they wanted was not allowed in the game, so we had to add in mods.
Well, all the girls, all their characters had the biggest knockers, wearing the least amount of clothing in that game, and I'm like, holy crap! I'd feel embarrassed if I made a character like that. And they were shameless.
Like if
And
we
it's
made a
like,
character like that, we'd be called like, oh, you're misogynist, you're
Exactly,
objectifying women.
right? But the girls in that game, they loved it. And it's like, well, there you go.
I mean, same thing. Like, you know, you can make your dick size, I think, bigger in that game too. And every guy is putting their dick all the way to the right.
So there's an option to toggle censorship in the game, and so yes, if you don't choose censorship, you have that option. But of course, I have censorship on, right? And so I can't see it. But what happened when I was playing in multiplayer one time? There is actually a potion in game that makes your manhood like comically long, like it's a rope. And so I couldn't see it, right? But all the other guys in the server started trolling me. They drank the potion and they would get their characters to spin around. Anyway, Conan Exiles, man. But that, yes, my experience, like girls, they are more than happy to sexualize female characters more than men at times, to a shocking degree, because there is an underlying truth that women like to watch beautiful characters, right? We get the normal in our real life. We don't need normal in our media. We prefer watching beautiful people do awesome things. And it plays out in many. That was just one example. And yeah, Nathan Cassidy shares one of his own. We got a super chat from Rolando Ramirez for $5. Says, Mary made another vid on Pop Culture Crisis trying to explain her view. It still wasn't good. She was speaking on a very specific group of men. I saw some clips from that. I wasn't convinced by her explanation. And look, I think Mary has made some, good takes in the past. I'm not trying to, throw under the bus or say that she's, not credible or anything like that. I will say I disagree very strongly with her sentiment, and her explanation I didn't feel was very strong or valid. Taker 610 for $10 says, Obi-Wan show, the base isn't secure because they didn't think anyone would attack it. No joke. No joke. That is the plot of the film. I'm not kidding.
Is it secure because they didn't think anyone would attack it?
It was, yeah. Like, it's so secret that no one will find it, so we don't need any security at all. And it's not that secure. Like, it's actually kind of, sitting a bit out in the open or underwater or something like that. Obi-Wan just snuck into by swimming underneath. It was the shows. Wade! Lightsabers aren't fatal. Oh my gosh. You're giving me PTSD, Taker? Like, no joke. Reva got stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber and she's fine.
I'm pretty sure it's still fatal to men, just not women.
Screw Qui-Gon, by the way. But if it happens to a woman, apparently, you're fine. Because not only did it happen to her, in Ahsoka, it happened to a character in Ahsoka, stabbed through the chest with a lightsaber. Fine. I guess screw Qui-Gon Jinn.
Remember, Shad, we got rid of all the women's organs. Remember that the whole thing? Like, oh, where are her organs? Well, we took them out.
Yeah.
Right. That's how they could survive lightsaber attacks.
Oh my gosh. The Obi-Wan was so bad. And then, yes, 96-pound woman downs a stormtrooper by slapping his helmet. And it was just like a helmet. And he's, Obi-Wan show was so bad. My gosh. Now, we did get this super chat from Zemamura about Adam Eve, 100%. And then again from Zemamura on Adam Eve. If Eve aborted because her powers were gone and Mark, Robot, Monster Girl, being gone caused a mass uptick in villains, then maybe that'd be justified. Maybe. Or like if they actually leaned into she needed her powers, like it was absolutely essential. I still wouldn't agree, killing a child, abortion, but then at least it would have been more justified.
Be some reasoning there, but that would have taken away her agency, right?
Like
that would have taken away her like choice, where it's like, oh, she did that because she had to, not because she just wanted to.
Yeah,
they can't have that,
right? Because then that's taking away her agency or something like that. That's why it was so vile what they did with the show. The show was trying to say a woman has any right to abort a child no matter what. And men should be just like Mark, and not only like support them and validate them. Men should really blame themselves. That it was their fault that they did that to them.
That's usually the go-to. Is like that's what they go to if the woman cheats on the guy. Like it's the guy's fault. He needs to re-examine who he is and what he wasn't providing her. That's what they keep saying. And by the way,
that's the real world. Like
That is
Jada
say,
Smith
yeah.
blames Will Smith for her cheating because he wasn't satisfying her emotional needs. Like, piss off. I can't
It's like,
stand
every woman is strong and has agency until they do something wrong, and then it's the man's fault.
That is the man's fault, right?
This is the man's fault. And
Not all women.
We're looking at the tail end of what, 2 decades of Hollywood romanticizing cheating endlessly on a woman's part. Not a man's part. Men can't cheat, but a woman cheating, oh, that's the most romantic thing. It's so passionate. It's so cool. It's like the most romantic thing. The Notebook is probably like the most egregious example, probably the most notable example, though.
Really, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Where it's like I've listened to women complain about this stuff because some women are like, oh yeah, these are great. Wait a minute, because women have realized this stuff. Is how some men realize that some of this stuff that's targeted towards men isn't all that great either. Not at least not mentally healthy. Or some women are talking about like, oh yeah, they all watched the Notebook. They all love the Notebook until they came to a realization like, oh, this is awful, because the Notebook is about a girl who is being pursued by a guy played by Ryan Gosling. So he's really handsome. He's literally us. And then he climbs a Ferris wheel to get to the top of it so that he can ask her out because she's there on a date with her other boyfriend, and they're at the top of Ferris wheel. And they point out that, wait a minute, this would be creepy any other way. If he wasn't played by Ryan Gosling, it's why he'd be pretty creepy,
right? That goes the thing. I mean,
and then this next part might sound familiar. So she ends up going out with Ryan Gosling, and it's like a passionate romance over the summer until the mom finds out, and the mom's like, no, you can't. He's poor. Can't do that. So they move away and they break up. And then she goes somewhere else and finds this absolute Shad. This I think is a veteran, and he's completely nice to her. He's supportive of her, and then they're going to get married. They're engaged. And a few weeks, maybe a few days before the wedding, she finds these letters that are from the Ryan Gosling character that her mom was keeping from her, and she goes to see him, and then they sleep together, and they have this passionate weekend of reunited love. And then, of course, they go to the guy, and the guy goes, "Oh, whatever you want." They go to your fiance, and the fiance is like, "Oh, whatever you want. I'm not, I love you. So whatever it takes for you to be happy, I'm calling off the wedding. Go with your beloved."
Wow.
So is this like Mark has to blame himself or be okay with Adam and Eve aborting his child? The fiance, the Notebook is just okay and just cool with her cheating on him, lying to him, saying that she was going to go somewhere else, lying to him so that she can cheat on him with her ex, and then getting back together with him, and then coming back to him and saying, "Oh, I'm going with him now." And he's like, "Okay, whatever you want. I'm breaking off the wedding right this minute," and all that stuff. So yeah, it's like, and a comedian made a joke about it. It's like, oh, imagine if the roles were reversed. And we had the most hated movie by women. He's like, you can call it the Playbook.
Oh my god,
it's pretty good.
Wow.
But, and then there's so many more examples of Hollywood just romanticizing cheating to women
for women
over the last couple of decades.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Man, I'm sorry. I'm kind of floored by the Notebook. I haven't watched it. I was like, "Wow, is that it? Is that it?"
And that's all. This is a movie all women love because it's so romantic. Just because Ryan Gosling is so in love with her, Shad.
Right, he's so hot. Right,
and that's not even the worst of it, because Hollywood also romanticizes horrible men.
Oh yeah, hundreds.
Just toxic men. They love that the toxic evil men. Because if he beats her enough. The more he beats her, the more he loves her. That's sort of toxic.
Isn't that like Shades of Grey or whatever that one was?
If he's Shades of Grey, I think that's the one where he's like into BDSM, but he wants that contract first or something like that.
But it's like then it goes into the romanticy. Like for some reason, there's like this wide swath of female literature and media of really abusive men, and women are just like totally into this genre. It's weird, man. Let's get these other super chats. Major Metroid $5 says Jack the Ripper in the Fate Apocrypha was a wraith made of multiple unwanted babies. Oof. Oh. Interesting, man. Just on the Fate thing, that is such a huge, like, I don't know, canon I get so confused. I was like, what type of fate is this? Like, some of the canon in these animes are so bonkers that, but I see some clips of the fight scenes from various Fate anime, and some
They're
of the
awesome.
animation of these fight scenes look friggin' peak.
They're
I'm
really
like,
good. Like
I'm like,
Fate is everything all at once. Like Fate is the ultimate. Like when you're a kid, what if King Arthur fought Lancelot? You know, something like that. It's like that's that mentality. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. And so the fight scenes in animation in some of this look so damn cool. I've been tempted to try out some Fate anime, but it's like, holy crap, there's so much, and it's got a weird continuity. So I don't know when or if I'll ever get into it, because what I've been doing, I've been wanting, since our conversation last week on Gundam, I've been trying to find, all right, I want to watch some more Gundam. And like I started rewatching Gundam Wing a little bit last night, and that was fun. Nostalgia, man. Oh, that nostalgia intro. But then I was like, all right, what are some other Gundam that I can get into and enjoy? It looks like, I think the next Gundam series on my list is Gundam 00. I think that's the one that people really like. It's one of those, alternate universe Gundam ones. So it's a bit standalone. And I'm like, all right, I might give Gundam 00 a try next on the list, because that's another continuity.
There's a lot of good Gundam series out there. Like Eighth MS Team is another good one. War in a Pocket. That's short and really good. It's from my favorite era too. It's Universal Century.
That's the main continuity, and there is so much in that. I'm like,
a lot.
I'm like a purist when it comes to continuity. I need to watch it chronologically or the right order and things, because I want to absorb it. And it's so big. There is so much in that main timeline. I'm like, I'm a bit intimidated diving into that. I'm like, all right, let me try some of the alternate universe ones that are easier and more accessible before I dive into the.
We should try G Gundam. G Gundam, it's all on its own, but it's really cool because it's very different. It's about fighting. It's like more like a shonen.
I've heard of it. Like, that was the other one that people was reporting that it's just really fun.
It's really fun. Yeah, every country has its own Gundam. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So that's another maybe for me. I was like, all right, so it's on the list, because I also started Iron Blooded Orphans. I watched the first few episodes of Iron Blooded Orphans. That's pretty good. Not bad.
It's been a while since I've seen that one, but I remember it being really cool.
Yeah, that one's not bad. The only thing is, I don't like the design of the main Gundam. And look, I'm really picky like that. I want my main Gundam to look really Gundam-like. And
Gundam Wing was really good about that. It had heavy arms, death sight. Yes. They had a lot of good designs.
The main Wing Gundam, which is the Gundam of the main character hero, is just so quintessentially Gundam everything. It's got the classic Gundam design, flavors and elements, and then you get the variant, more quirky designs in the other ones. But what's the upgraded version of Wing Gundam? Was it Gundam? I forget now. But it's one with the double cannon gun blaster thing.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That was really cool in Endless Waltz. I used to have that movie.
Okay. Endless Waltz. I just don't like that they gave him angel wings. Gave the Gundam angel wings. Give me the mecha wings. I didn't like the angel wings in Endless Waltz. Sorry, we're getting distracted because anime is fun. Alex Halo for $5 says the anime hasn't ended, Chad. I think this is in reference to Renting Girlfriend. Yeah, I know it hasn't ended, but I've been pissed off by how much it's dragging things on, and it's not giving satisfying payoffs, and the Chizuru hasn't really, done anything to be worthy of this guy's affection, and people say it's because she treats him well and he feels like she's actually acknowledged him, and look, to me those are crumbs. She only has done vague small things, but there was one moment where she stood up to him, right? And that's where he was starting to fall in love with her, because he goes to like a dinner where his ex-girlfriend needs to be there, and she starts to mock him, and she stands up and tells off the ex-girlfriend for belittling him in public. And because of that one action where a girl deigns defend him in the smallest way possible, right? He is willing to do anything for her, make a friggin' film for her. And nearly on multiple points after then, she barely acknowledges that affection. And takes his money, constantly takes his money.
Like it's like a bad sign to me.
Yeah. That's a toxic girlfriend in my mind. And she leads him on, and she knows she leads him. She knows she's leading him on because she is trying to decide if she really has feelings for him or not. And it's like, give me a break. You're taking advantage of this guy because you can't figure out if you like him or not. and you're happy to keep taking his money, Chizuru. You're awful. Ruka is the best girl in that show by far. Sorry, I get me triggered again. But he said, Lit Dev, the meme you're thinking of is him imagining her getting married with someone. I don't know the context of that.
That's for Rent a Girlfriend, where I saw that a page that I wasn't sure was real or not, but it was a page of him saying, watching her get married to the author of the series, and him thinking, and then while crying, saying, she'll always be my Rent a Girlfriend.
Oh, dude, that's kind of sad.
I just didn't know whether that was real or not. I was like, is that real? I know
it turns out that it seems like many people are reporting that the writer has the hots for Chizuru and wants Chizuru for himself, and so apparently maybe the main character won't end up with her. And I'm like, well, good, because Chizuru sucks.
And there was another controversy where there was a chapter, I guess it ended with her like rejecting him and going to do something else. I think that was Rent a Girlfriend. Where like I guess he confessed to her, and then she runs away and says like, sorry, I just can't. I want to go, continue and grow my career or something like that.
Yeah,
I remember that one spread around Twitter.
Man, that would be classic Chizuru. It's like, no, I'm not ready for a relationship because I want to be an actress and pursue my own self-interest, even though you've done all. Like this is what I hate about it, right? Like she's allowed him to just constantly spend so much money on her, which is like, honestly, I feel it's taking advantage of him being almost predatory, right? When if she knows that, look, this isn't happening or it's very unlikely, she needs to have done the right thing and just been honest about it from the get-go. And instead she's allowed him to be leader because he's so desperate to want it. It's like, I can't stand that. By the way, I guess I'm speaking from real world experience because I've seen girls lead on guys and that pisses me off. I'd rather them just come out straight and let the guys know so they can actually spend their attention on girls that actually might reciprocate that, because I find the attention that young men and guys in general are willing to give women in pursuit of them in our vision, that is valuable, right? That is their valuable time and also money, right? And it should be respected and be treated with respect and honor. And if they're not willing to, it's not hard for a girl to figure out if a guy is into them, right? And so like guys, if you are pursuing a girl and they're just leading you on and they're not reciprocating and they're not attracted to you to the level that you're attracted in them, they're not worth your time. Okay. And that's one of the fundamental annoyances I have with Rent a Girlfriend, because it's kind of trying to validate that. And it annoys me. Like I said, it's a show about a simp. Alex Halo again says you should look up the classic finished romance anime instead of Rent a Girlfriend, which is more of a train wreck. Yeah, like maybe I'll be willing to I'm interested to see what is considered a good anime romance, just to see how. And there's that movie. It's the girl in the wheelchair. That one. I think it's a film. I've seen people talk about that. That's come up as like, all right, that seems to be a wholesome romance anime. Might give that one a go. Do you know that one? The girl in the wheelchair.
I think I've heard of that. I don't think I've heard that one.
I've seen a decent amount of clips from it, and that one seems like a more wholesome romance, because there was controversy over it, by the way, dumb controversy about something about a guy wanting ownership over a woman or something like that. When it was dumb and retarded.
I haven't seen that one, but that does seem like in their zone of retardation. Like, I see on brand for them.
Shuon Head did a whole video reacting to the stupidity around that anime of the criticism, and it was something really dumb. I can't remember exactly, but I was like, because she's paraplegic or something like that, couldn't walk or something like there was some ableist, I don't know, thing or something that the woke people were getting offended at. People have mentioned Violet Evergarden. People have been saying, I've heard.
Yeah, that one's good. Okay, that one's good. That one's good.
I've seen that one a number of times. I'm like, okay, that one also might have my interest. I might give that one a look. All right.
I still say that there's one called The Silent Voice. I like that one a lot. I always recommend that one, at least one to watch through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so. And I'm interested more in obviously ones that have good writing and are wholesome, not crap like, what was it? Dress Up Darling, where it's just, that one felt it was just fan service and stuff. Oh, maybe I'm being too critical of it, but it annoyed me. The first episode is just so heavy-handed with all that. It's like, nah. Because people people have brought up that Dress Up Darling one multiple times in chat, trying to say that it's actually decent, and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Okay, Wolf Spain for $2 says the author stated he's keeping Chizuru for himself. Yeah. that is sad. What a and if they like I said, if they actually did the payoff and it was satisfying instead of dragging on, there might be some final redeeming thing about that show. But at the moment, no, I don't recommend it. It's annoying, even though there are some interesting parts that you can comment on.
Well, yeah, a lot of even like some of the worst Star Wars shows have something good about them, like a little bit, like a tiny little nugget of goodness in there somewhere. This went unrealized.
Well, like I said, like in summary, again, I do think there are some redeeming aspects to the main male character. Some of the character work is actually authentic and believable, and I do appreciate that, you know, the main character did some noble things in not taking advantage of other girls. And so, like I said, there are elements to it. There are elements to it, but overall, it's more frustrating than good. Didier, for $5, says, Shad, what do you think about the other girls? Oh, yes, I got that one. Yeah. Nami, like I said, she is a well-written villain for the series, and they're not trying to sugarcoat it. She's pretty evil, Nami. And so Didier again for $5 says, Shad, Rent a Girlfriend isn't a rom-com. It's a harem. Is it? I guess it kind of falls into harem because there are multiple girls that like him, but he isn't interested in multiple girls. He's only interested in one, and he only wants to fall in love with one. And so harem, when it goes fully like, is when you get to Mushoku Tensei, where it's polygamy and they end up hooking up with multiple girls, where Rent a Girlfriend actually has at least some undertoning aspects of more traditional, wholesome kind of relationships, where the whole premise of the show is that he wants to have a healthy relationship with a girl, just one girl, and he's interested in one girl, and he's got Ruka desperately in love with him, but he will not, you know, and he tries to break up with Ruka completely when he decides that he actually loves Chizuru. It's like, good, that's what you should do. Stop leading on. What's funny about Ruka is that she won't let him break up with her. So, but I get it. It's like kind of like harem in that sense.
Have you ever seen what was it called? Love After World Domination?
No, I don't know.
That one's pretty cozy. It's a fun little I guess you could say rom-com anime too, where it's about a main character is like essentially a Power Ranger, the Gelato Rangers. He's Red Gelato, and he's like the leader of the group. But he falls in love with one of the villains, the Reaper Princess. And it's very wholesome because she loves him in return, and they kind of the whole conflict is trying to, you know, maintain the romance without either side finding out.
I just want to jump on an interesting chat. It's like, it's a real shame that Shad is a fan service stop. What do you expect I would be? I'm a flipping Mormon. And I'm married. I don't need to watch like heaps of fan service and stuff like that. But hey, if you enjoy that, all power to you. But I would encourage everyone to, if you're, you know, everyone obviously has attractions to the opposite gender. Use that to try and find a good relationship. If you're a man, find a good woman. If you're a woman, find a good man. That's the ultimate goal that you want in life. But in terms of like, obviously, yeah, of course, like it's harem. What am I saying? But I guess for some reason, because of this isekai and Mushoku Tensei went so far, I've almost made a distinction between there's harem where it's more kind of wholesome, where the guy, yeah, multiple girls are attracted to him, but he's after the one. And then there's harem where it's just like, I'm gonna have all these women to myself. And it's like
that's kind of like the modern harem. I think that the old school harem is like, there's always one girl, but
yes,
that is like Clan Ad. That Clan Ad is wholesome, but it's sad. I guess a lot of sadness and tragedy to it. But yeah, he gets like a whole harem of women that he doesn't really like go after. He's just trying to help out everybody because he kind of is down on himself. But there's one girl. Now it was originally a game. There's multiple women you can get with, but in the anime, there's one girl that he goes after.
Dan to Dan is an interesting one because obviously
definitely a rom-com.
It's got that rom-com undertone to it, but it's wrapped up in one of the most wacky, bonkers kind of worlds and concepts and stuff. Dan to Dan is just so weird, but it's definitely watchable and it's funny in multiple times. Dan to Dan, but that is one of those shows. That is one of those shows. But finishing off, it says try Kaguya-sama or Hiromiya. Those are great with no fan service. I'm going to forget their names. I'm bad at remembering Japanese titles.
It's too Japanese sounding.
Yeah, they need the English. But hopefully I'll remember, and then I might be able to check it out. But Thomas Baggins says, not anime, but Gallivant. I think I've heard of Gallivant. What it's like? It's a guy that sings, isn't it? That's like a.
I haven't heard that one at all.
It's if memory, it tweaks a memory of a trailer I saw about a comedy, medieval fantasy about a singing protagonist or something. Something's there tweaking there. But I don't know anything really more about that, and I might be completely wrong. Nathan Cassidy says, calling it now, they are race swapping Scooby-Doo with a cat. Well, it is Netflix. We got Zemamaru for $5 says, Eve aborting Mark's kid and what Eve does to Mark in the future during the next pregnancy when he returns is why I say she's worse than Anissa. So from context, I think Anissa is the Viltrumite that has a relation with Mark. And I'm aware of what that relation is.
She forces herself on him. And the thing is, after a while, like, it comes to light and his dad finds out about it. He's like, well, Mark, it's our cult. Like, she didn't really know any better because that's our culture. If we find out that some of the women like hate their husbands because they did not choose their husbands, they were forced. That's kind of like Viltrumite culture is like the strong dominate. And so Anissa, overpowering Mark and, having her way with him is just Viltrumite culture. And eventually she does apologize.
It does not surprise me that a Viltrumite would do that. And actually, like, in terms of having like conflict in the plot, that something could be really like hard for a character to deal with and process, and the repercussions, that is actually a very interesting plot point to do because it is so in line with what a Viltrumite would do. And so I'm not against that plot point at all. I'm like, okay, I'm interested. Let's see what they do with it. And then the discussion around it, because there is discussion about the context of does she know any better and all that stuff, because then that actually does bring up people have been comparing Adam Eve with this woman who rapes Mark
because she kept the kid. I mean, she didn't murder the baby.
She did it with the purpose of having a child, and so But some people are completely disconnected about this show. Like, just because we're on the topic, you seen this like tweet? What do you all think Lucan would react if he found out about racism? And it's like, hang on.
He's already
Viltrumite.
He's already racist.
Yeah, they're super racist. What are you talking about?
If he comes to Earth and finds out about racism, he's probably like, "Oh yeah, based."
Yeah, well, no, he would think like, "Is that all you got? That's weak." Like,
that's it. That's your version of racism. Let me hold my beer.
They are mega racist. They are beyond anything.
They're so racist they killed most of their own populace.
Exactly. Like, holy crap. And so what a absolute bonkers dumb tweet about, someone not understanding anything about a show, the context, man. Oh my gosh. So that was worth a laugh and even mockery of how uninformed it was in context. Taker 610 for $2 says, remember when Head Inquisitor was stabbed too? Lol. I can't remember the context of that now. Head Inquisitor, do you know what that was related to? Oh, wait. Oh, no, I think this is
like
Obi-Wan Kenobi, when the Head Inquisitor, yes, because he
was stabbed
too, didn't he? Holy crap. Taker, you're bringing PTSD from that horrible show, man.
What good is a lightsaber anymore?
Right?
Yeah. Don't do that much.
They've undermined all kind of, suspense. Oh my gosh. Vlad the Shrike for $5 says, my own mother and her friends heard a woman cheated on her man. Their response was always, what was he doing? Like this stuff bears out in real life. People have real life experiences that.
I feel like the woman equivalent of what was she wearing? Like, what was she wearing at the time? Like that one, like that's the whole feminist angry. They get angry at that.
But even the whole conversation about it's not stalking if the guy is hot. I literally have had a girl tell me that. It was a youth group thing, and we're all watching the live action Les Mis, and there's a moment in the live action Les Mis where this guy sees this girl and starts following, essentially stalking her. And some comments was like, that they like the guy, and one of the guys was, well, hang on, isn't he technically stalking her? And the reply, no joke, was, it's okay if he's hot.
Yeah, it's okay if he's handsome.
That's what real world comment from a girl in real life to me. They said that. And so, you wonder where the stereotypes come from.
It's all those evil, all those red flags are desirable when he's handsome. That's kind of the whole thing.
Michael Martin says, my turn, A, G, and X. Unfortunately, I do not know the context of what that's relating to. That one's. Oh, is that like the Gundam shows? Gundam ones we were referring to? Maybe, because I see your profile picture. That looks like Wing Gundam. Speaking of Wing Gundam, I have a model somewhere that I haven't set up yet, but I have a Wing Gundam model that I'm looking forward to assembling. But anyway, it's gone. Alex Halo says Fate series is multi-timeline, starting with VN with a 50+ endings, 3 main ones, and was the first thing the company made when they stopped being indie. It's like, I don't even know kind of where to begin, because it's so weird. And Liddev, didn't you tell me that it's based off of a adult kind of video game or something like that?
Yeah, it was a porn game. Right. But apparently it was a porn game with enormous storylines and lore and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay. People were just playing it for the storylines, weren't they?
Huge tracks of story.
Really?
I was informed of one of the scenes is like them finding out that, oh, you're out of mana. Hey, main character, replenish her mana real quick, and you do that. She replenishes her mana by drinking semen. That's where the man is kept in the man, apparently.
Right. Friggin' the Japanese.
Well, the plot relevant, Shad. It's plot relevant.
Of course. But the thing is, I've seen clips of Fate story animation fight scenes, and they look good. And I'm like, I'd like to know the context of some of these fight scenes because they look sweet. Okay. So, and then we got another one from Alex Halo. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Look it up. The name of the wheelchair girl movie, I think, is Josie, the Tiger and the Fish. Okay, yeah, that one is on my radar. I'm like, I think I'd like to watch that. That looks like a wholesome romance story. Night James for $20 says, just joined the stream and catching up, but if you're looking for good romance anime, I cannot recommend enough. The Angel Next Door spoils me rotten, super wholesome, and mature in that the characters are well-behaved, decent. I hope you're not trolling me. People have already been dropping ones that obviously are not wholesome. And so, what am I going to find if I look this up? Night James.
Powers beyond your imagination.
The Angel Next Door spoils me rotten. That could be something weird. Just
that could be anything.
That could be anything with anime. So, chat. What are chat saying? Is there any confirmation, or am I getting trolled again? But I appreciate you're willing to spend a super chat to troll. That's well done.
That's dedication.
Yeah. You got me paranoid. You guys were trying to recommend that healer one and some weird name thing, like obvious gushing over what girls. Like that's obviously something perverted. I know anime. Don't try and fool me, guys. Flippin' heck. Okay. So, thank you for the super chat. Wally Moona for $20. It's so sad how written media is so much better compared to the movie series adaptations. Script writers are like, okay, this is popular. Now let me change everything that made it popular because I can do better. I know, right? That's so much of their perspective. And it goes even deeper. And then Wally Moon again for $20, he says, Shad, I was stabbed in my sleep by my girlfriend at the time. Holy crap. And the question is still what I was doing to trigger her. Again, in my sleep, he says, holy crap.
You were dreaming about the wrong person or something.
Yes.
You were cheating on her in your dreams.
That is insane. Man.
Remember that one? That was a classic one.
Oh, like, look, the stereotypes come from somewhere. That's nuts, man. That is crazy. Okay, well, Night James, he's saying for $5 again, Shad, I swear to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, that is 100% wholesome. All right. I hope you're not trolling me. I will look it up and check reviews and find out. But if people are saying it's decent, I might give it a look. Because like I said, like anime is just kind of my relaxed entertainment these days. It's like there is much higher chances of stumbling across a good anime with a decent story, and even randomly. Like I decided to just randomly watch Earning 100,000 Gold in Another World for my retirement, just because it was such a weird, dumb title, and that was charming and wholesome and fun. Same with the Overly Cautious Hero. That was like, oh, it's an isekai.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, the Overly Cautious Hero. Pretty good.
That was, and I actually laughed out loud, and so I can actually choose random anime and have a higher chance of finding something decent than going according to the most high budget Hollywood TV series and movie releases by far at this point. Because this anime is just still better at this point in time. We got Didier again, $5 says, full name of the first one I recommend is Kaguya-sama, translated Lady Kaguya, Love is War. I've actually tried a couple episodes of Love is War. Interesting character. It's all about character dynamics in that one. And that was like, I can see what they're doing. Didn't hook me enough to want to watch the whole thing.
Is that a villainous anime? Sounds like it would be one.
Love is War is about two students in high school who have the hots for each other, but don't want to give the other too much leverage over one another. And so they try and calculate every single interaction to get the other one to profess their love to them. So they have kind of the leverage in the relationship. And so it's interesting. It does good character work, but it ultimately just wasn't I'm not naturally inclined to like, rom-coms and things like that. I like sword fights and action and things. But that one I'm aware of. That one I've even watched a couple of episodes, and I can appreciate the complex kind. It has good writing in that one, from what I saw. But thank you very much for the super chat. Nathan Cassidy, 499 says, all I can think of this toxic girlfriend talk is the Skeletor meme line, ha, just like a woman. Stereotypes come from somewhere. Night James, $5 says, ever since I watched it, I've been hunting for a show as wholesome and sincere as Angel Next Door to no avail. All right, Night James, you are very much promoting the Angel Next Door. I will look it up. I will look it up and explore, see what's going on with it, because you are giving a big recommendation for it. So we will see. But we've now come to the end of the super chats and the end of a fun live stream. Wow, I didn't realize we went so overtime. Thanks, Lit Dev, for hanging out, man.
No problem at all.
I've been having fun just talking about anime lots because I've been watching a lot of it, and you're my anime bro. I like talking about anime with you. But anything you want to mention while we're closing up, mate?
Well, I do have a morning nonsense stream 5 days out of the week, and on Friday we do a Weeb Day where we go over current, just their various anime. I talk about anime I've seen like recently. Like I finished ReZero. A lot of time we talk about Yu-Gi-Oh and Fate because I like Yu-Gi-Oh a lot, especially the anime. And starting Yu-Gi-Oh GX, which I never watched because it's retarded. At least I thought it was.
Okay.
This is about dueling as a dual school. Like this is dumb.
Well, you know the one, like the Gundam one that I actually kind of am interested in? It's the Gundam one that's about Gunpla and the models, but they make the models to then fight each other. And it's like this meta version of a Gundam show. And I'm like, that actually looks kind of fun. I want to give that.
It's like a kid's version of Gundam where it's called Gundam SD, where it's a bunch of like little Gundam guys come from their world to ours, and there's like a kid who befriends them and stuff. It's pretty fun. They used to show on like Toonami before Dragon Ball, I think.
Okay. Hey, we got one final last super chat for Macariv for $20. Says, if everyone is giving recommendations, mine is Kowloon generic romance love story with some mystery in the Kowloon walled city. If you know the history, it's pretty interesting. Careful though, there is some gay stuff there. I can't stand that stuff. That checks me out. So Japan, like, it's funny how Japan has like been more open about, I guess, including gay elements in the show, like for a while actually. But it's funny. Oftentimes they've done it with like humor or mockery, and I'm more okay with that. And especially like where they have Troon characters, they're there to be like ugly and like. You've seen One Punch Man, haven't you, Lit Dev?
Yeah, One Punch Man. Where we've been talking about pretty prisoner and stuff.
Yes, that guy.
He's like a rapist.
Yes, like he is this cross-dressing, like repulsive character, but is made to just be a joke and to be comic relief, and everyone is creeped out by this character, and so I can kind of go along with it when it's just there for the sake of comedy, kind of like Bugs Bunny dressing up as a woman, that type of stuff, right?
It's pretty, because he doesn't rape anybody. It's just kind of a joke, and he only comes out when he's there to fight bad guys. That's kind of what he's there for, actually. One anime I did see was a villainous anime. It's not really a villainous anime. It's called I'm in Love with a Villainous, and that is a gay relationship, but it's funny. It's the main character. The main character gets killed. And then Isekai is not into a villainous, but into the main heroine. And her whole thing is that she didn't like the princes. Like, she didn't like any love interests in the regular Otome game. She was always loved the villainous. And so a lot of it is like her falling in love with the villainous and simping for the villainous. And the villainous is like this, so annoyed with her, like, stop it, get away. But eventually they become friends and everything. And then we get another conflict about how there's going to be like this uprising of the poor against the rich, and that the villainess might get killed there, because that's kind of how she dies in the game. So that's going to be coming in season 2, which I'm not really sure when is going to happen, but it was pretty funny overall. Like, I quite enjoyed it.
Okay, well, that's the thing that I find with anime. There's just a higher chance of either being more entertaining, humorous, and often just better written than so much of the slop we're getting out of mainstream Hollywood. It's been one of my more primary.
Their slop is better than our slop, right?
Yeah, way better. Like anime slop, it can just be really, really entertaining. And I know it's just crap, but it's fun crap. And it's like, what is? I'm trying to think of what's a show that was like that more recently, or amongst all the anime I watched. I can't remember, but some end up being like, wow, there's some depth here. Like, again, we always come back to Freerun because it's so good. But all right, we've kept you far too long. Guys, you know where I am. Appreciate everyone joining us.
Speaking of Freerun, I'm working on a video right now going over Freerun. So,
dude, hell yeah. Man, I love your videos, and so I'd love to hear an in-depth analysis.
I'm hoping to get it out by Sunday. It's actually pretty close to being done.
Oh, that would be awesome, man. I'm looking forward to that. Anything else you want to plug as we sign off?
No, that's it for right now.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. This was a fun one. We got some good interaction chats going. That was great. We will see you next week on next week's Culture Crusade. So as always, stay on watch.